This is Atomic Shinobi, and today I'm going to narrate third and final part of What If Abandoned Naruto was raised by Hero of Justice. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Now, wasting no time, let's start the story.
Somewhere in the elemental nations, on an airship. Inside one of Koyuki's airships, we discover our assassin. At the moment, they were traveling to Konoha for the first ever Chuunin exam that the daimyo of the Land of Springs would be attending. Her decision to attend the Chuunin exam stems from the fact that Naruto and his group are never able to be there for her. She would keep an eye on the potential of each of the 5 villages because she needed people who could help her country at any time of day. Additionally, it is the first test to be administered to all 5 major villages. As bodyguards, Naruto traveled with Koyuki and his girlfriend's teammate. If Koyuki needed assistance, they wouldn't be there because they were traveling in and out of the Vale. Because of the circumstances in the Land of Fire, she requested that they serve as her personal bodyguard. Fire was the most dangerous of all the elemental nations. Danzo is still at large and attacks any possible threats because of his persistence and the 4th Hokage's lack of effort. Skirmishes continue despite Konoha's assertion that Danzo is a rogue shinobi operating alone. Danzo would attack every other nation, including Konoha and one of their allies, the Land of Winds. Which led to the dissolution of Konoha and Suna's alliance. Because Konoha did nothing, Danzo gained a lot of power and made everyone else weaker. Every Kage had to defend themselves after Danzo was killed and kidnapped in every nation. Because they lack Jinchuriki and are weak from Kurama's attack years ago, Konoha is powerless to stop the foreign shinobi from invading. Konoha shinobi were killed when they became involved in a fight between Root and other foreign shinobi. All things considered, the Land of Fire is harboring a war within its own borders without a real conflict occurring. Foreign shinobi are battling Root, a terrorist organization. Minato called a Kage summit to try to prevent foreign shinobi from entering the Land of Fire. Root is stationed in the Land of Fire, said the other 4 Kages who took the call. We will get rid of them if Konoha won't. In order to prevent conflict with the other 4 major powers, Minato declared Root to be a terrorist organization. If you keep us out, then we will take it as Konoha supporting Root and we will declare war. Even though he is regarded as one of the fastest men on the planet, they cannot defend their nation on 5 fronts without a Jinchuriki. Suna, Kumo, Kiri, and Iwa are keeping fronts open on both sides of the Land of Fire. Then Root opening a second front inside their nation. The Land of Fire and Konoha, the first hidden village, would be destroyed in the conflict. Konoha gained a lot of business from the war, torn nation, but it also lost business. To maintain its economy and reputation, Konoha primarily focuses on a number of missions. Because they will work for the civilians, it enables them to demonstrate that they're good in their eyes. Even though every village employs the same strategy, they do it for domestic promotion. Konoha lost their variety of missions as a result of the conflict. They would go to the nearest ninja village, which is a foreign ninja village, because no village in the Land of Fire, including the capital, could risk traveling to Konoha to obtain ninja assistance. Konoha began to only get paying jobs, such as delivery in hostile territory, bodyguard duty against ninja, and other hazardous jobs. They would have benefited from this, but they didn't. Only a group of Chuunin shinobis or a Jonin shinobi could be sent off. The situation was depriving the next generation of training and experience. Although they might experience a brief increase in wealth, they would ultimately lose to other ninjas. As demonstrated by the Chuunin exams, just 4 of the 14 genins from Konoha advanced to the finals. In the finals, it was typically depicted that most of the genins were from the village where the test was being administered. Only 4 of the approximately 100 Konoha genin are prepared, as evidenced by the fact that foreign shinobi make up the majority. Which further demonstrates that Konoha isn't doing enough to prepare their next generation among all the villages. That damages their reputation as well. No one dared venture into the Land of Fire, particularly for a nation's leaders. Danzo would undoubtedly target Koyuki because of her nation's advanced technological capabilities. During her visit to the Land of Fire, she required the best protection available. Consequently, Naruto and his girls were hired. Not only is he the fastest man alive, but he's also a close friend. The 2 girls Naruto is in love with confronted him when he got home. His prolonged absence caused them to become extremely anxious. In addition to that, he never picked up the phone. It seems that one of the snake men who was inspecting Naruto's equipment unintentionally destroyed his phone while the Murray Gold ringtone for "I am the doctor" was playing. Naruto apparently missed some significant news. "Oni-chan, come play with me," exclaimed a joyful young girl who resembled Naruto in terms of her white hair. Naruto stood up from his window seat and approached the cute girl, Ilia von Einsborn, saying, "Hi, chibi.ne. Chan." She demanded, "Mo, I told you to stop calling me that," from him. "Laugh. And I said I will when you started to grow," he responded. He didn't answer Ilia's call. Jubstash had granted her vacation time. She was training to become a strong magus while she was with the other Einsborn. But Naruto was able to negotiate with the elderly man to make the training less harsh than necessary. Even though her new training regimen was challenging, she wouldn't have to endure the harsh, potentially fatal training that she would have if Naruto hadn't been there. Because of her little brother's training, work, and Einsborn assignments, she hardly ever sees him anymore. Ilia called to let her brother know she was coming to the Land of Springs to spend time with him. When I say called, I mean to use a phone, technology she finally learned. She unexpectedly shows up and goes with Naruto to his job to keep an eye on him. She was altered so that magic circuits made up 70% of her body. She can generate an almost infinite quantity of prana. She was someone to be taken seriously because of that and her skill at making familiars out of her hair. Despite her ability to create strong familiars, Naruto is still more powerful when compared to a combat magus rather than a magus. Ilia wanted Naruto to join her while she played Pokemon on her 3DS, so she called him over. She began using technology for life in general after learning how to use a phone, just like Xenovia, Krulcifer, and Naruto. I'm glad Ilia didn't damage any electronics this time, Root. While playing the game, the two were cuddling up to each other. After taking out his 3DS, Naruto engaged her in a Pokemon battle. Xenovia clicked her tongue and muttered, "Damn her." She felt a bit envious of her. When she shows up, Naruto's focus shifts from her and Krulcifer to Ilia. Krulcifer remarked, "Laugh. Let them be. They rarely see each other." It's clear how Xenovia feels about Ilia's visits without her taking her eyes off the book she was reading. Krulcifer was aware long ago that Naruto's life would involve many girls, particularly his older sister. "It just feels like I don't even exist anymore when she is around. I know that I'm his maid, but she gets all of his attention." Xenovia began to whine. Ilia was different from Naruto, but she knew she had to share him. Even though Naruto would always love them all, Ilia would always benefit the most from her presence. She was only envious. "I honestly didn't believe you saying that she's Naruto's older sister. She is a few inches shorter than all of you," said Koyuki. "Yada, I win, best 2 out of 3. Ilia appears to have prevailed. She certainly doesn't act like an older sister, especially when she calls him Oni. Chan," Koyuki continued. She had never met Ilia before. When they claimed she was the oldest member of their group, she believed they were lying about her being short. Krulcifer told her, "She just has the spirit of a child." Xenovia continued, "That's something she has in common with Naruto." As the sibling played Pokemon, the three girls continued to converse with one another on the drive to Konoha. It would be the following day before they reached Konoha. It was slow, but they might have been on the first plane inside the Vale. Incredibly slow. Its ability to fly, which nearly all ninja lacked, was its sole advantage. The goal of the airship trip is to get to their destination more quickly and raise her nation's standing among the others. The goal of the elemental nations as a whole was to display the prestige of the strongest ninja. She wishes to demonstrate her own prestige as a ninja and tech hybrid by using Naruto's stories and advice as well as technology from outside the Vale. Instead of having a secret village, she would have all of the ninja in her country work for the daimyo and use their sharp minds to develop technology. They could then come up with something new under a single leader. A new lifestyle. Or, if necessary, a new method of combat. After a few hours, it is now night, and their airship has reached the land of Fang. They will not arrive in Konoha until dawn. Ilia has already been taken by Naruto to her shipboard room for a restful night's sleep. Many crew members have already fallen asleep, including Xenovia and Koyuki. Krulcifer, Naruto, and the pilot and his crew were the only people awake. Together with his twin FN57, Naruto was in his room cleaning his Thompson contender. He had trouble falling asleep. No, it goes beyond his inability to sleep. At last, he is going back to the village that caused him so much suffering. He didn't like it, even though he may have let go of that hatred a long time ago. Kurama assisted Zelrech in overcoming his inner demons after he left on his training trip. Naruto harbored deep animosity toward Konoha and the Namikaze clan. Although he was comfortable with it, Kurama needed to change. Rewind, he had only been training with Captain Price in London for a week. Naruto was training hard. Together with the weights he wore, he was increasing his own gravity. He was sleeping and eating less. Naruto persisted in his target practice and martial arts training. He disregarded the captain's order to rest. "We must talk, Naruto." As he continued to perform push-ups, he told Kurama in his mind, "Now is not the time, Kurama. No, the time is now. No, it isn't. I must strengthen myself. But not in this manner. Only now are you acting foolishly. Go away from me. I must do this. Why? I simply must. Why? Because there is no other option. For what purpose?" He keeps asking him questions. Naruto cried aloud. To protect her, at last, Naruto collapsed to the ground, his body wailing in agony. His muscles were being torn apart by the continuous strength training, and he was perspiring profusely. Naruto was only able to go on because of Avalon. Since Kurama knew Naruto had to stop, he chose not to heal him. "Well, Ilia. So, from whom?" Kurama continued to ask questions. In one way or another, he was going to make Naruto be honest with himself and with himself. Naruto retorted, panting, "From Jubstashit, of course, he is dead tried. You did it already. You extend an invitation to me to leave Ilia alone. There is no need to shield her from that man because he keeps his word. He will hurt her if I don't make sure of it, I'm sure of it. You forget that he is an AI, even though he is an elderly man. He was created to protect and guide the Ainsburn. With Zelrech and I posing a threat, he won't break his word. He's too intelligent. So who, I ask again?" Naruto began to respond, "You're wrong, it's him," but was interrupted. "Avoid being dull. Both of us are aware that they are not the person you are battling." Kurama let out a roar. In a somber tone, he said, "You're protecting her for them. I don't know. Avoid playing that game." At that point, Kurama used his chakra and his knowledge of magic craft to form a pet-sized astral body of himself. "Come with me." At that moment, Kurama left the room and ascended the roof. Following instructions, Naruto followed his best friend to the roof. Kurama's gaze was fixed on the night sky. Kurama waved his tails at the location beside him. Then Naruto sat down beside him. "The night. It's beautiful, isn't it?" Then Naruto turned to face the sky. The scene was ingrained in his memory. The night was stunning. Together with all the buildings, the sky is illuminated by the stars and the full moon. All around them, lights danced in a stunning display. There was a flash of lights in the distance, indicating that a concert was happening. He took in the scenery and forgot all about his previous activities. With a humorous aside at the end, Kurama said to Naruto, "Talk to me, and I don't mean about the lie you keep telling yourself. Tell me how you really feel. Deep down inside of you. Deeper than me being inside you." Naruto merely gave the joke a small laugh. After some time to consider it. A few more seconds. "I'm scared, Kurama, and I'm mad. I finally got parents that love me and they're gone. I'm mad too." Naruto said weakly as he began to cry, "I'm scared of losing Chan like losing San and Chan." Remembering that he was only an astral body, Kurama would put his tail on him to indicate his presence, but his tail phased right through him. Pushing forward, Kurama asked, "Why are you mad?" "It reminds me of them. Minato and Kushina. They get to live happily with their daughter and my family. They died. I only have Ilia left. I hate them. Why is that they put all this pain on me? Why does Chan have to die for the greater Grail? Why does Ilia have to be forced to become the next lesser Grail? Why does that bastard Kodomine kill my dad?" He yelled in anger. At that moment, Naruto started crying. He was unable to contain his tears, which he hadn't shed since his first birthday, his 5th birthday, spent with a real family. He just sobbed and held his sister while she sobbed during the funeral for Kiritsugu and Irisfield. At that moment, Naruto was embraced tightly. Kurama didn't have a body, so it wasn't him. Zelrech said, "You didn't lose everyone, Naruto." Naruto sobbed into his chest at that moment, saying, "I'm still here to help you. Ilia is at home waiting for you and you have Kurama by your side." Acting in a way that is typical of a person his age. Kurama thought, "Looks like the old bat came to help." Naruto needed someone to console him right now, but he was unable to provide it. Naruto sobbed for a few minutes before he stopped. Betrayal is an ironic thing. He or she betrays you, then you betray yourself. You think you're showing strength with your anger, but in reality, you're showing how much you still care. Quote by Shannon L. Alder. "Your feelings betray your words." Zelrech cited Shannon. "Hating your biological parents shows that you still care about them. Do you still care?" I don't know. I feel that I need to blame them for all my problems," Naruto stated to them, his hands clenched in exasperation. Kurama informed him, "You know they are the reason why we are here now. Then, like everyone else, he looked up at the moon. Do you know that the night is the same when you were born? It was a peaceful night where everyone was enjoying life. It was only till that Uchiha came by and ruined it and ruined their life. Naruto questioned, don't you mean my life? It would seem reasonable that Naruto's suffering is caused in part by the enigmatic Uchiha. That would be true if your biological parents died, but they lived. They lived and left you to be Konoha's burden and scapegoat. They let the villagers place all their hate on you and let them make you suffer for their pain. Kurama explained his case. Zelrech was reminded of Angra Mainyu, one of the heroic spirits, by his logic. Angra Mainyu was a typical peasant. In the following rites, he was tortured and sacrificed after his village arbitrarily selected him as the source of all evil in the world. The villagers held the view that evil exists in people from the moment of birth. The only way to recognize the true goodness of people was to place all the evils of the world on one person and hold him accountable as the real cause of all human evil, since it was impossible to be freed from malice simply by leading a clean, moral life. In that sense, Angra Mainyu and the 9 Jinchuriki were comparable. Both were regular individuals who chose to bear the weight of human evil. They are also the reason for you being here now. They could have died and you might not have met Kuritsugu. All the joy you found is also their doing. What I'm trying to say is that don't let your hatred consume you. Sure, you can hate them for the rest of your life, but don't let it rule you. Most of all, learn to move on. It will be the hardest thing for you, but you need to move on. Do for Irisfiel and Kuritsugu. After a few minutes, Naruto returned inside to sleep rather than train after taking one final glance at the sky. Naruto was now happily sleeping when the 2 elderly people noticed him. Zelrech thanked Kurama, saying, "Thanks Kurama, he needed that." "No problem. He needed to learn that he can't let the past hold him back. Besides, the kid is my best friend. I can't leave him alone like that." The flashback has ended. Discussing his issue was very beneficial. Eventually, Naruto learns to forgive Konoha and the Namikaze. He no longer cared about them. He may have legitimate reasons for disliking and mistrusting them, but he won't go all out against them. Naruto struggled to fall asleep during the night. He simply felt uneasy about traveling to Konoha. He had a bad feeling about Konoha even after he had let go of his hatred. Not his dislike or mistrust. He is an assassin. You can call him paranoid. If someone in his profession isn't concerned about Konoha, shoot him. Knock knock, Naruto said, a little too loudly, come in. Krulsifer entered wearing a light blue nightgown. Sitting at the table next to him, she questioned, can't sleep? Yeah, was Naruto's prompt reply. Is it Konoha? Yeah. Why? She inquired. Naruto remained silent. He proceeded to disassemble his 5-7 in order to clean it. Naruto.kun. Naruto inhaled deeply. I have a bad feeling about this. Naruto Uzumaki is dead. You're Naruto Emiya. You have nothing to be worried about. She comforted him, attempting to provide him with solace for tomorrow. Naruto interrupted his thought, saying, it's not that. I don't care if they know who I am. I know that my real parents are dead and they aren't my family. It's just that I'm afraid. At that moment, Krulsifer placed a hand on his cheek to express her support for him. I'm afraid for you. For Ilia and Xenovia. I can't lose any of you. I can't let them take you guys away from me. Not this. Not my family. Ever. Krulsifer approached him and kissed him deeply. She pressed her tongue against his lips. Then she withdrew. She then dragged him out of the chair and pushed him down to the bed on his back, saying, They won't take any of us. We belong to you, not them. Then she climbed up on top of him. She then removed her nightgown and began unbuckling his belt, saying, We belong to you and you belong to us. She smiled sensuously and said, I will prove it to you. 2. The afternoon of the following day, close to Konoha. There is nothing new about Naruto having sex with Xenovia or Krulsifer. For more than a year, they have been having sex. They wanted to make the most of life because of their way of living. One of the things they enjoy doing for themselves is having sex. Yes, it was awkward at first, but after a few instances, it became informal. It was clear that Krulsifer was living up to Maya Jr. when Naruto needed consolation. She had sex with him. Naruto taught her how to fight and how to use guns. In addition, if her expanding bust was any indication, it would indicate that she does not currently have the sexually attractive body that Xenovia would have. Naruto's condition had improved. He was prepared to work. The pilot said, Daimyo. Sama, we're in view of Konoha. How should we proceed? Naruto answered him before Koyuki did. Pilot, do you have the radio that I recommended installing? Yes, sir. The idea with our airship communicating with others, so we can better handle a crisis is a brilliant plan. All current aircraft, including this one, is equipped with a radio and set with an exclusive frequency that only the Land of Springs use. Good. Koyuki, I recommend we go down from here. I can take you down and we have the ship stay up in the air. Once we finish our business here, I'll radio you in to come and pick us up, according to Naruto. She considered it for a minute. Pilot, does the ship have enough fuel to stay up for a full week? They exchanged speed for the ability to fly their airships for a long time. Yes ma'am. Thanks to Emiya. Sama help, we have enough fuel for an airship to last in the sky for 2 full weeks. Good, then we will go with his plan. Naruto was asked by the pilot, may I ask, why? He wanted to know why the plan was carried out, but he was confident that the assassin could be trusted. The airship is the talk of the elemental nations. Right now, we are being surrounded by Anbu Black Ops down below. They can't attack us due to our ability to fly, but also due to the reason we're here. However, that doesn't mean they will steal the secrets about the airship. This way, we deny them from getting a closer look at one of the most advanced ships the countries see and show off that the ships can last in the sky without stop for a very long time. If war does come, this airship will mean the difference between life and death. Potential allies will want to know about this possible asset when war comes. Naruto clarified. They were well aware of Naruto's belief that the ninja system is to blame for war. He emphasized that compared to the great shinobi wars, fighting during the warring era is less brutal. Additionally, he makes the point that people who learn to cut each other's throats and only think about their own village will never be at peace. The pilot nodded when Koyuki said, the Magus killer makes an excellent point, pilot. Once we leave, find a perfect place outside of the village that all in the village and travelers can see. Koyuki in her daimyo attire followed Naruto and his group to the door. All of the girls in Naruto were dressed as usual. Ilia was dressed in a long white skirt, purple boots, a collared shirt, and a light purple scarf. When the weather was warm, she wore her favorite outfit. Do you have an idea to get down to the ground? She inquired. As the wind blew his tide up hair into the air, Naruto simply opened the door and began writing some runes. 3. After Naruto completed the runes, it began to form an ice structure that extended all the way up to the doorway after falling to the ground. Naruto stated, simple. We slide down. We? Naruto roared joyfully as he plunged into the ice. Made slide. Ilia yelled, me next, as she trailed behind him. Krulsifer pointed to Xenovia and said, they can be really childish. Koyuki. Sama, you should go next, we will watch your back. Under her cloak, Xenovia held a Suramaru at her hip. It's not a good idea to have that beast out in a densely populated area because Naruto gave her a Suramaru because of X. Durandal's destructive power. Naruto had his guns and blades concealed. Krulsifer had a concealed Glock .17, Fafnir, and a family rapier. Her ancestor's silver rapier is called Fafnir. It's also the mystic code of the Einfolk. It is equipped with research on ice magic and aids Einfolk in seeing into the future. Because of her abilities and her family's research, Wise Blood, she can use it to fight in close quarters quickly and precisely. Instead of the Emiya's changing inner body time, this type of time magic lets the user see into the future. She grinned and went down the slide, saying, thanks Krulsifer. Xenovia is signaled to proceed by Krulsifer. She walked over to the door. She smiled and said, don't think I didn't hear what happened last night. I wasn't completely asleep. I heard you having fun. Krulsifer could only smile and blush a little. She is still a young child who gets easily agitated if you know how to hit her, even after all the time they spent having sex. Xenovia continued down the slide after saying, I get next time. She went outside, shut the door, and then went down the slide, letting the pilot fly away after saying, I guess that's fair. They all began to make their way to the main gate. People were already starting to assemble. For the first time, they all saw an airship. It attracted a lot of attention. A large number of children were also present outside the gate. They couldn't wait to see the ice slide and the airship. When the ice slide began to melt and the airship began to turn around, you could hear their dismay. Barrett für alles vor. Ich spüre viel Chakra und ein negatives Gefühl im Tor, 4. Naruto said in German. Taking things seriously, the two girls braced themselves for anything. Krulsifer and Xenovia pick up a lot of different languages from Naruto during their time with him. The only people who needed to learn German were Naruto and Xenovia. Since Ilia and Krulsifer are German, speaking their native tongue is expected of them. Ilia heeded his warning, but she remained carefree, although it wasn't the first time they had spoken a foreign language in front of her. Koyuki was the only one who was confused, and the Anbu was also following them. When they spoke a different language at home, she thought they were making fun of her. They only spoke in code, according to the Anbu. They believe that Japanese is the only language in the world and are unaware that they speak it. They arrived at the gate where the crowd dispersed. At least they can identify a daimyo's clothing. The group was encircled as soon as Krulsifer, the last person on the back, crossed the gate. Without hesitation, Naruto pulled out his Thompson contender and aimed it beneath the subject's chin. Drawing a Suramaru, Xenovia braced herself for battle. Behind her, Krulsifer drew her Glock .17 and aimed it at the nearest individual. Ilia began brushing her hair with a serious expression, while Koyuki looked outraged at the action. There was a gasp from the crowd. Along with their Hokage, Minato Namikaze, and Buninja surrounded the daimyo and her group. Right beneath his chin, Naruto held his contender. What is the meaning of this? Is this how you treat a daimyo coming for the Chuunin exam? Hokage? Asked Koyuki. He was declaring war on her with this action. I'm sorry daimyo. Sama, but you have a criminal with you. I'm here to arrest the Magus killer. Minato replied to her. Under what charge? I know for a fact that the Magus killer hasn't even been to Konoha or met a Konoha shinobi. He hasn't done anything to warrant an arrest, she argued. Just give the order, Koyuki. I will kill every last man, woman, and child here if I have to. Naruto replied coldly. He wasn't sure if he was bluffing at the moment. When they got there, he expected Minato to be the target, but he knew he would pull something. Not every one of them. He was sufficiently enraged to carry out his father's custom of murdering innocent people. The civilian was alarmed by this statement and backed up. While some stayed, others began to flee with their kids. They think their Hokage can kill the Magus killer quickly enough to save them. I'll make sure to kill you before you get the chance to do that. Threatens Minato. He was staring at the Thompson contender in Naruto. He was baffled by how such a machine could be lethal. He only knew that his strange weapons could somehow kill someone at any distance. Autopsy of dead bandits and shinobi in the Land of Fire that Naruto killed showed the bodies suffered from tearing of the flesh. It wasn't even close to a blade, it was a deep, tiny tear. A few of the wounds even penetrated the body. Numerous wounds led to the brain and heart, two essential organs. The most perplexing aspect is that the wounds showed no evidence of the object that caused the tear, despite the expectation that there would be at least one piece of evidence. Except for a kunai stab wound that might cause tears in different directions once inside the body, bullet fragment. Tsunade searched for the cause of death but was unable to find anything or formulate a theory. Because eyewitnesses claimed that the Magus killer's unusual weapon was the cause of those wounds, that theory was the least likely. The proof seems to have vanished. And that's precisely what took place. Every wound that was unidentifiable was caused by a gunshot. A notion that isn't even present within the Veil. Although it was much more archaic, the Land of Springs is the only place that has anything comparable. Instead of firing bullets, the kunai launcher fired kunai. With the exception of the bullets, Naruto's gun is authentic. With the exception of his origin and magical rounds, Naruto traced every bullet he had. The bullet vanishes into a golden, magical dust after the deed is completed. Naruto's storage ring flashed rapidly, and a grenade emerged from his free hand. Krulsifer and Xenovia saw his action at that moment and rushed to Koyuki, encircling her from the Anbu and preparing for an explosion that will destroy both the civilians and the Anbu. After witnessing the girls' actions, the Anbu prepared for battle. After observing their response to Naruto's peculiar object, Minato drew his notorious, famous tri-pronged kunai. Naruto challenges him, saying, "Bring it." Naruto inserted the pin through his thumb. Clang, the pin was pulled by him. The pin of a live grenade was actually pulled by that crazy brat. After hearing that noise, Krulsifer and Xenovia applied reinforcement to their bodies. They were prepared for battle, the force of an explosion, and to get away from Koyuki. Ilia was the only one who was at ease. She extracted several hairs. The whole thing was incredibly stressful. The future of Minato's career as Hokage can be decided by a battle that is triggered by the smallest movement. 5. Ilia said, "Ototo," in Japanese so they could understand. Naruto's ears perk up. The Anbu and Hokage were perplexed by Ilia's strange act of acting like the older sister she truly is when she said, "Put the grenade and gun away." In their world, there is no word for gun and grenade in Japanese. Without turning away from his target, Naruto retorted, "Nay, Chan, I can't. They want to harm us." "Do it," she sternly exclaimed. They were receiving some odd looks. "Let your Nay, Chan deal with the bad people." Given their disparity in height, Ilia would be viewed as the younger sister and Naruto as the older brother. He holsters his contender and pins the grenade because he is currently afraid of his sister. Ilia spoke before Minato gave the order for his Anbu to arrest them. Darkly, she remarked, "How dare you challenge my little brother, Namikaze?" It's safe to assume that she despises Konoha and the Namikaze family because she was already aware of Naruto's past as Naruto Uzumaki. She began tying her hair into strands. She then applied magic to the hair strands, saying, "How dare you challenge my last family member?" Her body was covered in strange lines that were visible to everyone. It was her whole body, as opposed to the other three where the odd glowing lines passed through various body parts. At that point, the hair began to float above them. "How dare you challenge the Ainsburn family?" It developed into an animal. The hair transformed into a massive, dark, western dragon in just 1 minute, larger than any other creature except Gamabunta. Everyone is freaking out. Only in the Veil, when her power is unrestricted by Gaia's influence, was Ilia able to create something this enormous and potent. Once she was inside the Veil, she felt as though a heavy burden had been lifted, implying the removal of the influence on her, demonstrating her actual Magus potential. "You will pay. You will pay with the lives of this poor excuse of a home you call Konoha," she said in the same gloomy voice, for challenging against the Ainsburn family. The dragon then gave a loud roar. Everyone panicked at the roar. While some Anbu began to panic at the enormous creature staring at them, others began to flee. In fear, one of them even fled. When the Toad Elders discussed the mythical dragon, Minato was in a state of shock and was perspiring uncontrollably. The sheer force of Ilia's display left Krulcifer and Xenovia stunned. They were aware of her strength, but they were astounded by her actual power because of Gaia's stronghold over all Magus. Not even Naruto could create something this amazing. All Naruto could do was shake his head. He forgot that Ilia is still an Ainsburn, but he didn't anticipate her being this dangerous. A distinguished family that has been around since the Age of Gods, and they don't tolerate rudeness. Attack them. Enough. Minato was about to give the order for his men to attack them when someone interrupted him. Everyone froze and turned to face the voice's origin. There were samurai and shinobi all around the man. The customary land of fire daimyo was worn by this man. He shook his head in dismay and remarked, "Is this how you treat guests, Minato-kun? I expected more from the Hokage." He attempted to clarify, but he knew it was over for him. Daimyo. Sama. The Magus killer. He's a wanted man. It's my duty to arrest an enemy of Konoha. You forget. During the Chuunin exam, all those with a bounty on their head are given temporary diplomatic immunity if they are part of a diplomatic group. This rule was established by the second Hokage in an effort to build trust with other nations. Are you planning to go against one of the rules that our second Hokage set up that has been adopted by all nations? He asks Minato. He gave a headshake. Then Emiya-kun here is hired as the Land of Springs daimyo as her bodyguard, hence giving him diplomatic immunity along with his friends. But, no buts, I'm highly disappointed in the Hokage that I supported. I was lenient with you faking your death, but I won't be this time. From henceforth, I remove you as the fourth Hokage. He declares. Konoha as a whole was shocked. Naruto smiled in agreement. He then signaled his guardian shinobi to escort the Anbu and the now former Hokage to the tower in order to get the third back in working order. Hiruzen Sarutobi will take up temporary leadership as the third Hokage for the rest of the week until the Chuunin exam is finished. Once the exam is over, we will discuss who will take on the mantle of the fifth Hokage. When they had all calmed down, he approached Koyuki's group, disregarding the familiar and putting their weapons away. It's good to see you, Kazuhana. Sama. I'm terribly sorry for Minato-kun action. He was out of order. He apologized to her. Minato's action was a reflection of himself and his nation, and he could not allow the most developed nation to experience that. He handed her a tablet, effectively a credit card with limitless funds, and said, "For him causing you and your guards trouble, you won't need to pay for anything for your stay here. Please enjoy all that Konoha has to offer you." She accepted the tablet. The fire daimyo, Kazuki, then left after saying, "Thank you, Kazuki." Sama. 6. I'm happy that Minato Namikaze is properly punished for his crimes against me and my bodyguards. All daimyo arrived at the same time. A week prior to the start of the finals, they would travel to each other's countries to experience their cultures. The fire daimyo's appearance during the battle was purely coincidental. Then Koyuki turned to face Naruto. She said, "You okay, Naruto?" Concerned about the recent incident. She would anticipate that he would have difficulties traveling to Konoha because she is one of the few people in the elemental nation who is aware of the reality of the world and his life. Naruto simply erupted in laughter. Ha 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 ha. Oh mein Gott. Ich kann nicht glauben, das gerade passieren. Ha 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 ha. Bastard word so gedmutet. Vor seinem Volk nicht weniger. Ha 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 ha. 7. He chuckles in German. Then Ilia joined in the giggling. Then Xenovia shortly after, confusing her. They're fine Koyuki. Sama. They're just enjoying what just happened, they're all immature. As she waited for them to settle down so they could go to the hotel, she said, right. Next day, our diplomatic delegation is discovered outside the hotel where they were lodging. Koyuki changed into a traditional ice blue kimono after removing her daimyo clothing. 8. Krulsifer wore dark blue pants with flats and a plain white blouse with blue trim that showed off her shoulders. Ilia was dressed in her typical purple attire. Xenovia was dressed in a blue jacket, white shirt, black thigh shorts, and sneakers. Lastly, Naruto covered his face with his blue scarf, dark blue collar shirt, black pants, and boots. Naruto remarked, I feel defenseless. His 3 pistols are all gone, as you can see. Deal with it, Oni. Chan. We're here to have fun today, not working. Ilia replied to him. It's difficult to comprehend how the icy, fearsome young girl can suddenly become playful and innocent. Koyuki smirked and said to her, in a technical sense, you are still protecting me. You will simply follow me while we all enjoy ourselves. His, all work and no play on the job streak was about to end because of her. He hardly ever enjoyed his work. Xenovia said, where are we going first? Krulsifer proposed, I heard that there is a hot spring here. I say we go there. It would be a nice way to relieve stress. Yeah. Let's go, exclaimed Ilia. Xenovia said, sounds good to me. All of them turned to face Naruto. He shrugged and said, I don't care really. As they all made their way to the location, Koyuki remarked, looks like we are heading towards the hot springs. Many children and their parents stopped them en route to the hot springs so they could sign autographs with the well-known Yukie Fujikaze. They travel and stop for an hour before arriving at the hot springs. Naruto started to leave, but Xenovia pulled him back. It seems like it's split by gender. You guys go ahead and enjoy the hot springs. I just wait for you. She then pushed him into the men's changing room, saying, not this time. You go in and enjoy yourself. She led the group of girls into the changing room and said, let's go enjoy the hot springs. Wow. It's so big, exclaimed Ilia. She entered the hot springs first. It was quite steamy and a sizable hot spring. She leapt into the springs with haste. Ah. It feels good. Gradually, all of the girls began to enter and take advantage of the soothing effects of the hot springs. Koyuki pointed and said, odd, there is no one here. She thought there would already be some people present. She appears to be mistaken. The suggestion from Krulsifer was, we might be early. Subsequently, they detected a sound emanating from within the structure. Just as I said, looks like I've spoken too soon. A group of women and girls entered the hot springs. Pointed out a very shy girl with white eyes and said, T. There O. Others A. Already H. Here. Then, to soothe her, a woman with red eyes and black hair placed a hand on her shoulder. The red-eyed woman said, it's okay Hinata, we're here to celebrate your recovery. Hinata, the girl, answered Kurenai, the older woman, H. Hike Kurenai, sensei. A blonde girl tried to help her with her confidence issue by saying, you need to be braver Hinata, you can't be shy forever. A red-haired woman said in a gentle, kind voice, these things take time Chan. It lacked the drive one would anticipate from a typical redhead hothead woman. Kurenai thanks the redhead, Kushina, saying, thank you, Kushina, sensei. Ya. Don't be mean to Hai. Chan. Exclaimed a young girl with red hair who very much resembled the redhead woman. Kushina told the younger version of herself, she's not being mean, Natsumi. Chan. She's trying to help. The girls in the group appear to be heiress of the Yamanaka clan, Ino Yamanaka. The Hyuga clan's heir, Hinata Hyuga Kurenai Yuhi, Team Aidza Jonin. The fourth Hokage's wife, Kushina Namikaze, and lastly, the Namikaze family's youngest daughter, Natsumi Namikaze. Already in the hot springs, Kushina said to the group, I hope that we're not bothering you. Because of the fog, I couldn't see who it was. In response, Koyuki said, it's fine. Then she returned to her own discussion with Ilia. She was curious about Ilia's history lesson on the magical world and the outside world. At last, The newcomer settled into the hot springs. Ino asks Kushina, "Nay, Kushina. Sama, is it true? Did the Hokage get fired?" She was the primary gossip in her age group, so she had already heard the news but was unable to verify it. Because she was intrigued by the story, Hinata's gaze was drawn to Kushina. After her mother passed away, Kushina became like a mother figure to Hinata. When Kushina noticed Hinata in pain, she became interested. It is among the consequences of Naruto Uzumaki's passing. She is attracted to kids who are in pain. Kurenai tensed when Ino posed the query. All shinobi, both domestic and foreign, were interested in it. Hearing that a daimyo and her group were attacked and arrested by the all-powerful Yellow Flash during the Chuunin exam was undoubtedly the worst thing a Kage could do. In response, Kushina said, "Yes, he did." Displaying no care for Minato. Minato attempted to arrest the Land of Springs daimyo and her guards. Why did he do it? He was trying to arrest the Magus killer that was hired by the daimyo. He knew doing so is illegal, but went on with his plan. Natsumi inquired, "Is Chan going to be okay?" Unlike her mother, she still loves her father as much as she loves her sister. She still didn't understand why Kushina had stopped loving Minato. She was only informed that he was to blame for the death of her older brother, Naruto. Kushina responded to her daughter, "Your father will be okay, but he will be sad for a while, okay?" She continued swimming around after saying, "Hi." Our group of women stayed at the other side of the hot springs until she arrived. Ilia was bumped by her. "Wow, you have white hair. I never see that." Ilia informed Natsumi, "Thank you. I got my hair from my mama." Natsumi then turned to face the woman Ilia had been speaking to. "Wow!" exclaimed Natsumi. "Natsumi!" exclaimed Kushina. When she heard her scream, she feared the worst. She searched desperately for her, but the steam prevented her from finding her. Natsumi yells, "You're Yukie Fujikaze." At last, Kushina located her and calmed down. Only to discover that her favorite actress had met her daughter. She went to pick up her daughter, a fervent fangirl. Kushina apologized for Natsumi, saying, "I'm terribly sorry, Kazahana. Sama. Natsumi. Chan is young and doesn't know how to treat someone of your status." Koyuki smiled reassuringly and said, "It's okay. Even after I became daimyo of Springs, I'm used to kids approaching me." Natsumi yelled, "Can I have your autograph?" That autograph was something she truly desired. Koyuki patted the young girl's head and said, "Giggle, sure, after I finish my time here." Yada. At that point, the Koyuki and the others were joined by the remaining kunoichi. While dragging Hinata, Ino approached the Bluehead girls and started a conversation. The whole time, Natsumi pestered Ilia about her size and hair. Kurenai and Kushina spoke with Koyuki, primarily about her life as an actress and daimyo. Then Zenovia's back was struck by a big sponge that was floating in the water. She turned to look at it. She is shocked to see that it has a pink snake on it. Zenovia exclaimed, "What is Medusa doing here?" A boy's voice screamed from the steam, "She's enjoying the hot springs, can't you see that?" After the steam subsided, Naruto was seen sitting behind them, continuously cleaning his Remington 870 shotgun. "Kya!" Ino screamed, covering herself with her hands in embarrassment. Hinata simply turned red and hid behind a rock. Although Krulsifer appeared embarrassed as well, she remained composed and remained in the water. In embarrassment, Koyuki and Kurenai covered themselves. Kushina simply held onto Natsumi and remained in the water. Ilia made no effort to disguise herself. She didn't care because she used to take baths with him when they were younger. Ilia pulled her younger brother aside and said, "What are you doing here, Oni-chan? You should be on the boys' side." Naruto answered, "That's where you're wrong, Nei-chan." The Konoha women were confused. He pointed at Koyuki with the cleaning stick and said, "I'm not here to relax. I'm here to do my job and protect Princess there." Kurenai tries to chastise him, saying, "You should be on the men's side. You shouldn't be here, young man." Naruto dismisses her, pointing to Medusa lounging, saying, "Nope. I was hired to protect Koyuki here. I could care less about the rules in the hot springs. Besides, Medusa wanted to enjoy the hot springs and she is a lady snake after all. On the sponge, she appears to be relaxing." After she had finally calmed down, Krulsifer told him, "You should be relaxing Naruto-kun." Kushina was interested in that. You should be aware that Kushina is not the same kid. After listening to her talk, Kurama informed Naruto, "This woman is the complete opposite of the one that kept me prisoner. The Uzumaki enthusiasm that he once saw in her has vanished." Naruto gave his remark a mental nod. No, Naruto has passed away, she thought. This is just another person with the same name. Natsumi exclaimed, Naruto, bringing to mind her brother, who passed away before she was born. Xenovia said, Naruto. Sama, do you want me to wash your back? He finished cleaning his shotgun and said, cleaning my weapons is relaxing. Krulsifer and Xenovia, no, I'm not here to enjoy the springs. After that, he placed it inside this storage ring. Krulsifer corrected him, saying, that's working, Naruto.kun. After a minute, come up with a way to unwind. Why don't you sing? I know you like to sing. He found singing to be one of the few soothing activities, along with cooking. Naruto turned down her suggestion, saying, no way in hell. Ya, Oni. Chan, sing for us. You used to sing to me when we were younger. But nay. Chan. Objected Naruto. With a slight huff to her chest, she said, no buts. I'm telling you as your older sister. The kunoichi listened in and were intrigued by their conversation. Naruto complied with her requests and said, fine. Then he produced a drum set, bass, keyboard, and guitar. The idiots were perplexed when a large number of instruments were pulled out. To take each instrument, he then creates shadow clones. Kurenai and Kushina were both quite taken aback and alarmed by the jutsu. They question how the jutsu, which belongs to Konoha, got into the hands of an outsider, but Kushina then recalls that Iwa managed to obtain the jutsu during the Third War, proving that it is possible for an outsider to be aware of it. Koyuki warned him, you better not sing some song in another language. The original Naruto then took out 2 microphones that were already connected to the speaker he had installed. The hot springs had turned into a miniature concert. In the Vale, the first. Naruto comforted her, saying, don't worry, it's more of a mix of Japanese and English, but mostly Japanese. Obtaining a contented smile. The kunoichi appear perplexed. Hey Krulsifer, I need your help with this song. He threw a microphone at her, but they had no idea what English or Japanese were. She caught it and asked, what are we going to sing? She wrapped herself in a towel and approached the stage. Rising Hope. You sing first. We will switch off every verse and at the end we sing together. He smiled and said. She appeared pleased by his response. The loud music could be heard outside the hot springs. They adore it and have never heard anything like it. The Vale's residents were intrigued by the new rock/J-pop genre. The younger generation in particular. A sizable crowd quickly forms on the opposite side of the wall, applauding and listening to the musicians and singers. Woo! Began the cheers of the young vocalists. Ilia exclaimed, Oni. Chan is the best, with a cheer. Koyuki enjoys his singing in the song. That was amazing, you too. I didn't know you can sing like that. She had never heard a song like that within the Vale. There isn't a pop, rock song in the Vale. The song, the instruments, and the English language surprised the kunoichi. Kurenai then asked him a question that she had. Young man, I heard some unfamiliar words in the song. What were they? Naruto replied, that was English, another language. To my knowledge, the only language is the common tongue that everyone speaks. Inside the Vale, Japanese is referred to by its official name, the common tongue. He said in a mysterious way, the world is a lot bigger than you think. You'll be surprised what's out there. Where are you from? Inquired Kushina. Learning about Naruto. There was something familiar about him, she thought. He said, a place called Germany. He then proceeded to pick up Medusa, the snake baby, and allowed her to wrap herself around his arm over his clothing. A lot of people would notice that. Primarily because of the snake's presence in Konoha. Following Orochimaru's defection, the Kurama's attempt at independence, also known as the Kyuubi's attack, made snakes as despised as foxes. Ino remarked, never heard of it. I don't expect any of you to know it. People born inside a hidden village never go too far from their village. I didn't know about the elemental nations existed till I travel here. Naruto made up the last part. Your map isn't finished. There is a lot of places that I visit that doesn't show up on the map. For example, there is a country called Japan. They speak a language called Japanese, but it's the exact same language as the common tongue, but more developed. My dad told me that there are over 1,000 languages all around the world. I learned how to speak German, my homeland language, Japanese, your language, English, part of the song's language, Italian, Zenovia's birthplace language, and a few other. They are shocked by this information. In fact, their language is known as Japanese in another country, and they are unaware of many other languages. Being able to communicate in multiple languages allows shinobi to communicate with one another without anyone else understanding what they are saying. Naturally, this made the older women even more curious. They believe that if you go outside of the map, you will either die or vanish. There is no proof that anyone returned from beyond the map or that there is any kind of life there. There is no reason to think that there is anything out there, since there isn't a chakra. Their presumptions are completely incorrect if what he says is accurate. They can ask more questions of the enigmatic group beforehand. I'm hungry. I'm tired of the hot springs, Koyuki declares. Naruto tucked all the instruments into his ring and said, let's go back to the hotel. I can cook something for us. The girls stood up, too. Yada. I get to eat Oni-chan's food, Ilia exclaimed as she hurried inside to grab lunch change. Koyuki was stopped by Kushina. In order to spend time with them, she wanted to spend time with Natsumi and herself. If it's fine with you, we can show you to an excellent restaurant. Given that Koyuki is her favorite actress and Naruto shares her deceased older brother's name, she appears to have a thing for both of them. Thanks, but no thanks. I have tried many 5-star restaurants, but Naruto's cooking always outshined theirs. Koyuki declined her request. How about we show your group a place to cook? We would like to see that person's cooking after hearing his singing. Koyuki said, that's fine with me. Believing that Naruto will have the opportunity to face his past, which he is attempting to avoid. They were surprised when I said, by the way, you should know that is the Magus killer. The 5 Konoha girls appear content and are dressed. If you're going to be around us, you should know his full name is Emiya, Naruto. You should learn his name if you're going to eat his cooking. The youngest S-rank shinobi piqued their interest. Our band of magi was led to the nearby park by the Kunoichi group. There was a public grill in the park. Ino said, will this do, Emiya-kun? Ino thought Naruto was very attractive. He had lovely hair and a well-toned body, even with his scarf over his face. He was a quiet man around her and other people, but she still wanted to get to know him. Even Hinata finds him attractive, but she hides behind objects and people and observes him from a distance because of her crippling shyness. She even uses the Byakugan of her clan to see his entire face. She was surprised that the scarf obscured her vision. It seemed as though the scarf shielded him from prying eyes. And there was his network of chakras. This is unlike anything she has ever seen. His chakra network is difficult to see. She thought, it keeps blinking in and out of existence. After that, she turned to face the 3 girls. They don't contain any chakra. What is that? They shouldn't be alive at all. She noticed a blue outline surrounding their body. She was unsure of how to interpret it. Her father would have to tell her about them. Naruto's magic circuits are the cause of his flickering chakra network. His circuits function as a shroud because both coexist inside his body, but it emerges because of his potent chakra network. It goes without saying that the girls have no chakra at all. Hinata recognized the blue outline as prana encircling their circuits. Though it can detect it subtly, the Byakugan is made to detect chakra, not any other type of magic. The same holds true for other jutsus that search for chakras, such as the Sharingan. Naruto approached to examine the grill. He said, it's not much, but it will do. And moved toward an open area. He whispered and formed a big wooden table, saying, trace on. The creation of such a table surprised the Kunoichi. The 2 adults believe that he is in possession of Mokuton. There isn't much to work with here, so how about a good old-fashioned, American barbecue, he offered. Krulsifer replied, that's fine with me. Zenobia remarked, meat does sound good right now. Koyuki concurred, saying, I never had it, but I saw it on some shows. Why not? In order to spend time with Naruto and gain knowledge of the outside world, she frequently visits his castle. She enjoys watching movies and TV series of all kinds, even if they are in a foreign language. The Japanese subtitles would be her only challenge. Ilia insisted, I don't care, I want a parfait. She huffed in agreement as he said, hi. I will whip up a parfait for all of us after the barbecue, okay? The Kunoichi were denied the opportunity to express their views. Naruto clearly didn't like them, despite the fact that he didn't say much to them. When he asked a friend a more intimate question or spoke directly to one of his friends while they were speaking to him, he would typically ignore them. Even though it was impolite of him, Ino and Natsumi persisted. Naruto began gathering the ingredients for corn, chicken, hot dogs, and hamburgers. He cooks the meal for the big group with Krulsifer's help. Everyone else continued to enjoy their time together. Kushina approached the couple. She offered to help, saying, do you need any help? I know how to cook. That won't be needed. You don't even know what we are cooking. Every chef I met in the elemental nations cooked Japanese-orientated food. Your skills here would be useless. He turns to go. She is saddened by it. Even though he isn't her son, she still wanted to be close to him and hopes to make up for it in some way. It would ease her grief to assist another boy of the same age, Naruto. After that, she left to look for Natsumi. Once Naruto was sufficiently far away, Krulsifer said, "That was a little cold of you." Naruto responded, "She was trying to get close. I don't need anyone replacing my mother." Krulsifer could appreciate his logic. Kushina has been attempting to learn from Naruto ever since the group's meeting. Naruto was okay with Irisfiel being his only mother, much like a mother inquiring about her son's life. Regarding parents, Naruto would not accept anyone other than Irisfiel and Kiritsugu as his parents. The same is true for Ilia and a sister. You know, she sounds hollow. I notice. From what Kurama told me, she isn't the same person that she was when she was keeping him trapped. Naruto wraps up for her. I talked to Ino about it. She said that she is still grieving for a son she abandoned 13 years ago. 9. That ended dying at the age of 4. Krulsifer stated. And how does that apply to me? By all means. Naruto Uzumaki is dead and you're Naruto Emiya. Two completely different people with different life. She concludes. 2 nights ago, she did tell him that. It's just that seeing her like this is very sad. Ino told me that her parents told her that she was a joyful person and a hot-headed woman. From what I see, she is the exact opposite. Weak, scared, hollow, and lost. It's hard for me to look at her without feeling sorry for her. And you think I don't? Natsumi has been bugging the hell out of me. She's been hanging around me like I'm her brother and Kushina acts like a mother trying to get to know her son. I don't want any of it. I already have a sister and a mother. Naruto spoke with a crack in his voice. It was reminding him of his family's good times in Germany. Then reality sets in, and they disappear. He will do everything in his power to keep Ilia safe. He started crying. The memories were too painful. Krulsifer approached Naruto, unrolled his scarf, and planted a kiss on his lips. Remember, I'm here for you. Xenovia as well. You don't need to feel alone when we're here with you. Naruto wiped away his tears and said, thanks. The two proceeded to continue preparing the food. A girl behind the two chefs said, Naruto. To find out who it was, they turn around. Her sandy blonde hair is pulled back into 4 consecutive pigtails, and she has teal eyes. She was dressed in a single off-the-shoulder, light purple garment that hung halfway down her thighs and had a scarlet sash tied around her waist. She wore her black forehead protector around her neck and covered her shoulders and legs with fishnet, specifically on her left thigh and right calf. Temari, the current Kage's daughter, is this individual. He was hugged by her as she said, "It is you," which Naruto did in return. The two said, Temari, it's good to see you, and left. I guess you made it to the finals? She dismissed the written exam, the forest, and her encounter with a weapon specialist, saying, yup. The exam this year seemed to be easy. It didn't take a lot to pass the tests. She wanted a challenge, so she said, I expected more out of Konoha. Well, that's great. Do you want to join us for lunch? I'm cooking up something, he said. Then she turned to look at him and the food he was preparing. After his last visit to Suna, she never doubted his cooking, even though it was unfamiliar to her. Sure. I love your cooking. Do you need any help? She said. He smiled beneath his scarf and said, we're almost done, but if you want to help, I'm not turning you down. Then she approached Krulsifer to say hello and assist her in getting all the food ready. She said to them, so what are you guys doing here? As Naruto responded, we're here on a job. Krulsifer explained, we're Koyuki Kazahana's bodyguards. Giggle, Kankuro would be happy to hear that his favorite actress is in town. Speaking of sibling, where is Gaara? I hope he isn't getting into trouble after our little fight. Naruto responded. He's at the hotel sleeping. Thanks to you, he really changed. You helped fix our family. Even our dad started to spend time with all of us. She smiled. Temari recalled how her father had once sent the Magus killer to Suna to do a job. Working with the 3 Sand siblings was part of the job. Keeping an eye on the insane Jinchuriki was his responsibility. Before Naruto intervened and assisted them in their mission, the job was going smoothly. At that point, Gaara desired to murder Naruto in order to establish his existence. While his girls dealt with the interference from the other 2 siblings, Naruto went off to confront him. Gaara eventually lost himself to Shukaku, and the 2 were vanquished by Naruto. Then he taught him a lesson in love. Gaara changed completely after that. He had stopped killing people without a reason. He treated his sister and brother with greater openness and kindness. The Kage, Rasa, was appreciative of Naruto and surprised by the change. He was free to visit whenever he pleased. Naruto would frequently visit Gaara because of the bonds between Jinchuriki. He became so at ease with the three siblings that he opened up to them about his past and the world. It would be an understatement to say that they were shocked, but they were pleased to learn how much he valued them. Temari even realized how much she loved the younger boy. She knew that some shinobi would take on multiple wives for specific reasons, so she didn't give a damn about Xenovia or Krulcifer. Naruto told her, "You should meet my sister, she actually here. Ilia von Einsburn, aka Chibi.ne. Chan? The older sister with a weird aging body? The sister that you keep on talking about?" she asks. Before, whenever she spoke to him, he would inadvertently bring up Ilia. He gestured to the purple-clad girl with white hair and said, "Yup, she's over there." To her surprise, she exclaimed, "Wow. She really is a chibi." Despite being a few inches shorter than Naruto, her behavior is the most remarkable. Instead of being the mature older sister Temari adopted, she was behaving like a real little girl. At that point, Xenovia approached Temari to welcome her and assist with distributing the food. After that, every other girl approached to get a plate. Naruto said kindly, "There's plenty here. You can eat all you want." It was his first kind utterance. They were taken aback. Each of them takes a plate and eats. "Wow. This is amazing. I never taste anything like this. The closest thing is the Akamichi's barbecue. Even that doesn't taste this great. Thank you, Na. Chan, T. This isr. Really good." They all expressed gratitude to him. They all continued to share stories and savor the meal. Natsumi and Ilia fought all the time. Ilia forbade Natsumi from acting like a little sister to Naruto, despite her constant attempts to do so. Naruto cleaned up the table after finishing his meal so he could begin preparing the parfaits. They haven't tried this dish yet, but they'll probably love it. Naruto called out, "Xenovia, could you please come over here? Can you help me hand this over?" She went to get 2 cups, but Naruto grabbed her and turned her to face him. "No problem." Then he kissed her passionately. This surprised her, but she quickly stopped fighting and started to enjoy his lips. Krulcifer was accustomed to these scenes already. Temari's face flushed. For their sweet treat, the 2 shortest girls came over. "Ew!" exclaimed Natsumi, she disliked adult things. "Bad Oni. Chan," she exclaimed, striking him with her tiny fist. After kissing Xenovia for a full minute, Naruto finally released her. He whispered to her, "Thank you for being here for me," causing her to blush greatly. Then he picked up 2 parfaits. He handed them a parfait and said, Sorry, nay. Chan. Here is a parfait for you too." Yada. Ilia snatched it up and stooped down. Natsumi reaches for hers and says, "Thanks Na, Chan." Then he turned to face Temari, who was flushed. He approached her and kissed her on the lips, asking, "Why not?" catching the girls off guard. Xenovia and Krulcifer were surprised by Temari's excitement for the kiss. Although they were aware of her romantic feelings, Naruto's actions were unexpected. When she finished the kiss, she stammered, "W. What was that F. for?" He winked and said, "Just being grateful for all the people that care about me, including you." After that, he went to get his parfait. Medusa woke from his arm as soon as he grasped it. She began to drool as soon as she saw the parfait. Then she leapt into the cup and began to consume it. With a hint of sadness, he said, "There goes my parfait." He set down the cup so the snake could savor the treat, saying, "I could use a break." Xenovia went to distribute the remaining ones. Naruto began to move in the direction of the lake. Ilia inquired, "Where are you going, Oni? Chan?" She sees him drifting off. He turned to reveal the black Zippo lighter and a pack of cigarettes in his hand. He whispered, "I'm going for a smoke. I was getting a headache from Hinata's looks and Ino's interrogation." She told him, "Smoking is bad, Oni. Chan." Naruto waves her away as he continues his smoke break, saying, Hi. Naruto sat down at the lake's end of the dock. He smoked his cigarette and inhaled. At that moment, a person sat down beside him. The man beside him has onyx eyes and short brown hair that reaches his shoulders. He was dressed in a standard Konoha Jonin costume, but it featured the police force's emblem. He questioned the young man, "You know smoking at your age is bad for you." Naruto inhaled one last puff before throwing it into the lake, saying, "Not unless you have healing capabilities that will heal the damaged tissue in the lungs that cigarette would cause. What is Wicked Eye Fugaku doing around a little kid like me?" Snort. "You're the Magus killer. The youngest S-rank shinobi. Fastest man alive. Defeated Danzo and Orochimaru, both S-rank criminals. Your full name is Emiya. Finally figured out, Naruto Emiya. You are also responsible for Minato Namikaze losing his position as Hokage. He began to go on. Fugaku Uchiha. Clan head of the Uchiha clan. Responsible of exposing Danzo's operation and earning the trust of the village. Fourth Hokage contender, but the village wanted a blonde. After Namikaze's return, he lost power as Hokage due to his actions on his own son and his desertion of Konoha. You're the Hokage in all, but title. Most likely candidate to be the 5th Hokage that will be announced after the Chuunin exam. Slightly surprising him with the final sentence. Few people were aware of that fact. The news was still comparatively fresh. Don't look surprised. This village is highly corrupt. All other villages have spies in this village, including me. If you're going to be Hokage, then you will need to work your ass off to clean up the mess that Namikaze caused. The only contender for 5th Hokage is Jiraiya and Tsunade. However, it is due to Hiruzen and Minato's action that put the Land of Fire into a war with Root, with the other villages attacking Root and indirectly Konoha. He won't support those two thanks to the current situation. He would go with a new path. All the Hokage followed the same path and now they're in the shithole. Because the village was ruled by Minato, Fugaku was aware that it was corrupt. Because of his actions and inaction, Minato could be regarded as the Hokage who almost destroyed Konoha. Fugaku was unaware that any classified information in Konoha could be readily purchased by a mere mercenary. That was concerning because it meant that their trade secrets are at risk from ordinary people. When I become Hokage, I will make some major changes. First, I will take off the ridiculous bounty that Minato put on you. He focused too much of our manpower on you. Then I'll request your aid on eliminating Root, if you're interested. I know that you had a run-in with Danzo before and defeated him. After dealing with Root, I will need to clean the village of the corrupt filth. I can help with that. You will need to pay me first, Naruto replied. A scroll was then thrown to him. Naruto sent chakra through the scroll after opening it. A large amount of Ryo emerged. That's 50 million. Consider it half the pay. Your bounty will be payment and I'll pay the rest once the problem is dealt with. Fugaku replied. He was happy with the result. Like the other village, he wanted to hire the Magus killer, but Minato wanted him taken away because of his bloodline. Minato, you idiot. He began to leave after saying, hiring him would have saved a lot of trouble. Naruto called out, hey, to him. Fugaku pauses and turns to see Naruto approaching. He gave him a note in private. That's a list of all of the people I and others paid for information. There is also the spies that Danzo have here. He said quietly. A shadow clone would be surreptitiously sent by Naruto to obtain the information for him. Fugaku pocketed the list quickly. Although most people would assume that he is lying to him, he exuded a trustworthy, familiar aura. Observing his behavior, he concludes that there is a spy nearby, but it is the only one. Anbu. Please don't tell me that the Anbu is unreliable. He thought angrily, but he kept his feelings to himself. All of the Anbu were faithful to the Hokage, who is currently Hiruzen, but he is too preoccupied with the test. They are aware of Naruto's sensory abilities, so they wouldn't dare risk approaching a damn sensor after Minato's stunt yesterday. He began scanning the area for anyone who wasn't a member of the Naruto group, but he was unsuccessful. He might have sensed someone hiding nearby because he wasn't as good of a sensor as the Magus killer. Observing them. Before heading back to his group, Naruto whispered, Danzo and Orochimaru are planning something together. My contacts suggested that they will attack during the finals. Be ready. This village has not done as much for me as you and your clan have. Make it through this. Naruto thought, don't let being Hokage change you. He recalls that more than the village was to him, the Uchiha police force was the only one who truly treated Naruto fairly. They fulfilled their responsibilities and brought the criminals to justice. Only when the Hokage pardoned the criminals did Fugaku refuse to show mercy. In his opinion, Fugaku is the only decent person in this awful village. Fugaku's gaze widened. A war might start if what he says is accurate. I have to tell my clan. He then began to leave in a nonchalant manner. To avoid giving the possible traitor away, he had to maintain his composure. I'll dispatch Itachi to alert the clan and other reliable shinobi to impending danger. I'll subtly alert the clan leaders in case of an attack. Right now, it would be a mistake to tell Hiruzen or Minato the information. Although they are strong and could assist with the counter, the situation makes them untrustworthy. He would have to tell Shikaku everything that he has been told. He would inform the commander of Anbu, but there is a traitor in his organization. Shibi Aburame and the rest of Shikaku's friends would be the only others. Heishi Hyuga cannot be identified because he is too close to Minato. The future of Konoha will soon be decided, and trouble is on the way. After 4 days, the 4 days that followed were identical to that day. Temari would join them for a fun-filled day of relaxation, and Konoha's genin would either join or observe the festivities. Naruto would, as usual, limit his enjoyment because of their fans. Because of Koyuki's career as an actress, he could put up with children following them, but the shinobi following him is what really irritates him. He had to watch the genins and be prepared for an attack. Even though they aren't dangerous enough to threaten any of them, they are untrustworthy and still follow Konoha's orders. He was extremely irritated by the Hyuga's persistent stalking of them. In order to stop her action, he wanted her to pull something on them. When she arrives, even Mei Terumi and Hikuyuki join in. She adores the young man's company. Naruto was unconcerned with her constant flirting with him. In front of Ilia, he had to behave himself. In the meantime, the older woman loved the cute chibi, but Ilia didn't like her. Throughout the village, you could hear Ilia calling the woman a harlot. The fact that she was so close to her brother annoyed her. She already disliked every girl in the group. Fugaku and Itachi were successful in preparing for a possible attack during the 4 days. Upon closer inspection, Itachi discovered multiple Anbu bearing the root curse mark. However, given the circumstances, he was forced to use genjutsu to help them forget about their encounter. The Magus killer's theory of a potential attack seemed to take off just because Root was present. While his father prepared the clan heads and clans to repel a large force attacking the village, Itachi organized a group of reliable shinobi to capture or eliminate the traitors and spies working for Orochimaru and Danzo in the village. He had to put the security of the civilians, the visiting Kages, and their daimyo first in order to prevent them from attacking Konoha during the attack or failing to defend them. Even though everything was in disarray, they managed to keep it quiet. Regretfully, they would be unable to witness Sasuke's bout with Gaara, the boy who successfully defeats Konoha's momentarily strongest genin without permanently harming that genin. Our group of magicians is now in the daimyo booth. This historic event was attended by most of the daimyo of the elemental nations. The private booth was packed with them and their bodyguards. Ilia is the only one who might not fit in. Ilia yelled, "How dare they make me wait?" She had had enough of waiting for the game to start. They had already waited for the no-show for an hour. Naruto made a special seat for Ilia to watch the battle from next to the window. Numerous daimyo gave her strange looks, but Naruto's frightened them away. He didn't care if he caused Koyuki to become the center of attention. Nobody should ever ruin Ilia's smile. Koyuki could only smile at the beautiful sibling relationship. Koyuki said to Naruto, "Naruto-kun, what do you have there?" Naruto looked away from the small toy he was using for play. He was playing what appeared to be a rifle, but it wasn't Naruto's typical rifle. In the center of the rifle was a sizable magazine that held 6 rounds in the style of a revolver. Naruto simply grinned at her while spinning the magazine. The other daimyos were intrigued but perplexed by his explanation. "This here is a Milkor MGL. A multiple grenade launcher. Brand new. Capable of firing 40mm grenade, smoke grenades, and tear gas. The ultimate fun for causing explosion or controlling a crowd." They only learned from Naruto's explanation that the device can control an unruly crowd without killing anyone, produce explosions, and offer cover by using smoke. Koyuki told him, "Sigh, just don't go out of control with it." He loved explosions, she knew. Krulsifer was only able to laugh at his nearly childish antics because he wanted to make a big boom. Zenobia seemed interested, even though she enjoyed explosions like Naruto but disliked using modern weapons like her 2 friends. Krulsifer, Zenobia, and Naruto were dressed for work as usual. Additionally, they were prepared for any conflict that might arise. Naruto was informed by Yuki and her friends, as well as a few sellouts, that Orochimaru and Danzo might attack, and based on his own encounters with them, it was implied that they would attack. If their attack is executed correctly, it can easily lead to a war between the nations. Konoha would be forced into a war as a result, giving Danzo the opportunity to seize control of it or destroy it as Orochimaru desires. It benefits both of the traitors. In a way. Koyuki was chatting with her fellow daimyo, while Krulsifer and Zenobia were conversing. Ilia sharpened his concealed blades while Naruto stood by him. A particular clan with white eyes can be seen glaring at all of the Magus from the audience stand. They weren't human by shinobi definition, so I was wondering what they were. A shy Hyuga can also be seen eerily staring at Naruto. "Welcome to the first Chuunin exam to be hosted for all 5 hidden village," announces Hayate. "Let's all cheer for this momentous day." There was no doubt that it would be recorded in history. He pointed to the current genin and said, "Here are our final constants. Many began to support their countries or their friends' team. This is the order in which the match will continue. Against Neji Hyuga, Mito Namikaze Gaara of Suna vs Sasuke Uchiha. Suna's Temari vs Shikamaru Nara. Suna's Konkuro vs Shino Aburame. Kuretsuchi of Iwa vs Samui of Kumo. Dosu of Ado vs Omoi of Kumo. Iwa's Akatsuchi vs Kiri's Chojuro. He enumerated. All genins were present, with the exception of 3, 2 of whom were from Konoha and were the first to appear. They all departed, with the exception of Neji, who was grinning triumphantly. Will all genins please go to the stand? Mito Namikaze and Neji Hyuga, stay behind for your battle. Where the 4th Hokage's daughter? Where is our hero? Where is the hero that holds the Kyuubi? The foreign shinobi population gave him a lot of disillusioned looks. They simply blurted out extremely classified information, but Konoha's leader also did that. To all foreign shinobi, it remained incompetent and foolish. To a certain extent, even Gaara's identity as the Ichibi Jinchuriki is a secret. He is the only one who is somewhat well known as a Jinchuriki, albeit not to the same extent as Konoha. The almighty Yellow Flash's daughter ran away. She's a coward like her father. Shut your mouth. Your leader is a monster and his daughter as well. At that point, a brawl broke out between people from various countries. Soon after, a brawl broke out between Iwa and Konoha residents. The altercation had to be broken up and they were arrested by Anbu. After chatting with an Anbu for 5 minutes, Hayate caught everyone's attention. Will Sasuke Uchiha and Gaara of Suna come to the stadium? Sasuke did not show up, but Gaara did. We will postpone their match to the end of the first round. Even the Uchiha chicken out, as all of Konoha cowards. Shut your mouth. There was another altercation, and more people were arrested. The fights were starting to irritate the Kage, but Konoha's absence was more annoying. As Hiruzen was questioned by his fellow Kages, he started to perspire. He was unable to think of a good response. Naruto even started to loudly discuss Konoha's inability to produce shinobi. Many daimyo agreed with this and made the decision to avoid using Konoha going forward. Kazuki even started to appear anxious because his own village was making fun of him. 5 more minutes of waiting and fighting. Many irate comments were made about the statement, "This match will be postponed to the end, so we can give them a chance to show up." They had already been waiting for them for an hour, and now they had more time. The no-shows were disqualified from all other Chuunin exams. Temari of Suna and Shikamaru Nara come to the stadium. At that moment, Temari flew into the field while riding her fan, meeting the needs of the restless civilians. Impressive, said Naruto. The daimyos are listening. While some heard about Naruto, others knew him and had a client-level relationship. To get his attention, Koyuki said, Naruto-kun. She pointed to her fellow daimyo and said, "Would you provide all of us with your battle analysis?" The Wind daimyo remarked, "Great idea. I have heard of the Magus killer genius mind." Many people agreed with his comment and supported the suggestion. One of the strongest people in the elemental nation was someone they wanted to hear what they had to say. Naruto simply gave in and expressed his opinions to them. Temari of Suna. Her level of wind manipulation is very high. Not many can control the wind to float like that. Even Jonin shinobi will have difficulty with that. There is also the fact that she started to begin her elemental training at such a young age. Many would start until they become a Jonin, the age around 20. She started 5 years earlier and she is better than most trained shinobi with wind affinity. She is someone to watch out for in the future. Naruto stated to them. Considering that Suna is currently the most promising village, they appear impressed. Asked Kazuki, the fire daimyo, what about the Nara heir? He was interested in his shinobi analysis. Unfortunately, he doesn't look motivated, most likely due to his family heritage of Nara men being lazy. There is also the body build. Unlike Temari, who is well built for her age and gender, Shikamaru is a little weak. It shows that he isn't going to last long in a fight. There is also his experience. His posture shows that he hasn't killed anyone yet. It's to lose. A kill will show a sign of some professionalism as a shinobi. He shows none. It's likely due to the terrorist group, Root, preventing his advancement as a shinobi. In all, he isn't ready. All he has is his IQ and his clan jutsu. Temari has her training, experience, IQ, wind jutsu, and confidence. Temari is going to be the winner. Again, he got a lot of nods from the daimyo that seemed to agree with his reasoning and analysis. At that moment, Shikamaru approached the stand. This is a drag. As he contemplated giving up, he reflected, that Anbu made me, but there is no way I can win. The Hokage then gave him the order to take part in the match through an Anbu. They couldn't endure any more humiliation. She has real world combat experience. The others and I are just beginners. We weren't even given the opportunity to complete an experience. Gaining mission outside of the village. It's a drag. Both geniuses continued to fight, however, Temari was the beneficiary. Before taking the tests, she had been on a mission where she battled enemy shinobi like Root. Shikamaru was denied that opportunity. Asuma only assigns them D-rank missions and a select few C-rank missions that are in the direction of villages near Konoha, where there isn't any fighting. Other than sparring with his own teammates, which was mild, he had no prior combat experience. Temari attacked and pushed Shikamaru into the wall with ease. Although Shikamaru uses the shadow cast by the wall to his advantage, he can only reach a few meters beyond it. The public enjoys watching the two battle it out strategically, but Temari prevailed by continuously attacking Shikamaru with wind slashes. Naruto thought to himself, looks like my prediction came true. Naruto's analysis gained the support of many daimyo. The match between Kankuro and Shino was the best by far. The two gave it their all, and Suna ultimately prevailed. Shino briefly encountered Kankuro, but his prior combat experience shielded him from the beetle's onslaught. All things considered, the Konoha genin lacked sufficient experience to withstand battle. Weary genins. Neji is the only person with combat experience in Konoha, and his opponent failed to appear. Kuretsuchi and Samui came next. Compared to the matches with Konoha genin, that match was on a different level. The two were engaged in a legitimate battle, as though they were trying to murder one another. The prior conflict was more akin to a struggle for survival. Despite the close contest, Kuretsuchi prevailed in the end. Hayate announces, next is Omoi of Kumo and Dosu of Ado. Dosu did not appear, but Omoi did. Don't tell me another no-show, come on, it's getting good. Hayate waited for 5 minutes before an Anbu spoke to him after a large portion of the crowd began to boo. Dosu of Ado didn't show up, so the match will also be postponed, he announced. He initially intended to disqualify him, but in order to avoid issues with the other villages, Konoha must appear fair, even if they aren't. They had to be as fair as possible or risk being reprimanded by the shinobi and spectators. If Dosu of Ado, Mido Namikaze, or Sasuke Uchiha don't show up for their match after the others, then they will be disqualified. Akatsuchi and Chojuro faced off next. Because Chojuro is a water-style user, Akatsuchi, a strong earth-style user, had the advantage over him. At first, Akatsuchi was ahead, but as Chojuro began to unleash Hiramikare's full potential, Akatsuchi began to fall behind. Ultimately, Chojuro prevailed. A huge smokescreen appeared after the field had been cleared. 2 adults and 2 children were in the smoke. When a few moved aside, Mito, Sasuke, Kakashi, and Jiraiya were standing there. Kakashi and Jiraiya appear a bit arrogant. In unison, they both ask, "Are we late?" anticipating that their student will have a spectacular entrance. But they didn't receive the welcome they were hoping for. Finally, was what most people said. Many were disappointed when these two's match was postponed. They wanted to see the daughter of the Yellow Flash and the well-known Uchiha. Sasuke and Mito surveyed the stadium. Sasuke noticed that, aside from his mother, every member of his clan attended his match. Anger makes him clench his hands. He thought bitterly, damn them. They're out somewhere with Itachi. His thoughts were displaying feelings of inferiority and jealousy. In the stand, Mito noticed her younger sister and her parents. Seeing her father there made her sad. Jiraiya received a message from a toad that Minato shared with her, informing her of the news. Hearing that her father was dismissed from his position as Hokage was difficult for her. Because she thought it would help Konoha, she partially supported his plan to stop the Magus killer, but she also disapproved of the terrible strategy. They were informed by Hayate that, "You're late Kakashi, Jiraiya. Sama." The audience's mildly irate response still surprises the group. They thought they would be applauding their arrival. In fact, they intend to return at the same time that they took their students to train outside the village. "What happened?" inquired Jiraiya. He gestured to Sasuke and Mito and said, "Go ask someone else. I have to get the Chuunin exam up and running." Kakashi and Jiraiya nodded in understanding, saying, "People are very unhappy. That includes all the Kages and daimyos, thanks to these two. They humiliate the village by making them demonstrate that they violate the rules and give preferential treatment." The 2 educators made a mistake. He told the 2, "Now go." As they arrived, the crowd cheered for one of the most anticipated matches. Now with their arrival, it's time for the match between Mido Namikaze and Neji Hyuga. Sasuke was brought to the stand alongside all the other genin by Kakashi. While she fought, Mito remained behind. Jiraiya Shunshin talks about everything he missed with his blonde student. After Neji descended, the two genin were left to battle it out. Neji brashly told her, "Give up, fate determined that I will win this match." He was aware that she lacked his strength. He was a year older than her and had more experience. She was slightly above average in her graduating class even when Mito arrived at the academy. Although she was aware of effective techniques, she was unable to use them in combat without first experiencing chakra exhaustion. Neji would prevail in an endurance contest. Drawing a katana, she responded, "Don't count on it." Her parents instilled in her the belief that she was the child of prophecy by telling her, "Fate is on my side," throughout her life, getting her ready for her future. Hayate took a final glance. Begin. The two clash with a light fist strike and a blade slash. With Jiraiya and Minato in the stand, Jiraiya said to his pupil, "You want to fill me in?" With a weary tone, Minato remarked, "Sigh, it's been chaotic. I already know that you tried to arrest the Magus killer when he showed up with the Land of Springs daimyo as her bodyguard. And I remember telling you that goes against international laws that the Nidaime Hokage created, but it seems that you went with the plan. I had faith in you that you would make the right decision." He replied with disappointment. When word got out that Koyuki had hired the Magus killer, he hoped his student wouldn't decide to do that. "I thought it was the right thing to do. We need his power and weapons. He also has Mokuton. That makes him a part of the Senju clan, so that makes him part of the Leaf." Minato disagreed. "We both know that's not true. How the Shoden unlocked Mokuton is a mystery. He is the only one that inherited Mokuton out of everyone in the world. How he got that Kekkei Genkai could be a fluke. There is no proof that it is a bloodline in the first place." The quiet, Naruto, came from Minato. Jiraiya was surprised when he explained why he would bring up his deceased godson. With a trace of remorse, he said, "I discovered that his full name is Emiya Naruto. His entire life had been in disarray since Naruto Uzumaki's passing. He had no choice but to keep defending Konoha in his own way." After overcoming the initial shock of discovering that his godson and the Magus killer shared the same name, Jiraiya asked, "Was there anything else you find out about him? Because he was in the land of Whirlpool with the family to raise Mito, he didn't feel as bad about Uzumaki's passing as Minato did. He thought Mito was the child of prophecy, just like Minato did. Nothing beside his name and his hobby of cooking and singing. All other information is public information. The only thing that occurred is that Fugaku talking with him briefly. There is also the fact that Fugaku is the most likely candidate for the 5th Hokage. He disclosed this to his instructor. One of them would be able to indirectly rule the village if he were to become the 5th Hokage. You and Tsunade are still Hokage candidates. Would either one of you become the 5th? He was adamant about keeping his position of authority. Jiraiya gave a headshake. "I'm not cut out to be Hokage no matter what you think. Tsunade is content with being the head medical ninja. I doubt she would add more work to her pile." Minato looks disappointed when he responds. Since Minato and Fugaku didn't get along, he won't be able to influence what he thinks should be done to help the village thrive. He felt that in order to improve the situation for Konoha and the Land of Fire, he needed time. As the match started and the two children collided, he asked, "How did Mito's training go?" Jiraiya simply shook his head once more. When he mentioned his former best friend, he said bitterly, "Not as good as I hope. Tsunade couldn't help her with her chakra reserves without becoming Orochimaru. She only helped her with chakra control. She should be able to perform higher level jutsu, without using excess chakra being added. How about summoning and the Rasengan? She is only able to summon Gamakichi and Gamatatsu. Anyone higher, she passed out while fainting." Minato was staring down. That lifted his spirits. She did manage to master the Rasengan during the little trip. This resulted in at least one positive outcome. But she is only capable of doing it once, but that alone requires the condition of her using a 3 high-level jutsu maximum before using it. If she uses any more jutsu and tries to form the Rasengan, it fails. She simply lacks the chakra reserves to do anything on a high level. I just can't see her as the child of prophecy with her chakra reserves. He questioned, "Didn't the prophecy change?" "Yeah, it did. Before the great Toad Sage said that I would take on a student that would bring up a revolution to the shinobi world. I thought it was someone I trained before, but he died. Then I thought it was you, but we gave up on that thought. Then I thought it will be Mito. Then the prophecy changed after Naruto's death." He replied weakly at the final phrase. "It was a terrible day to recall. I still remember it like yesterday. We all came back to Konoha after Tsunade patched up Mito after the Kyuubi escaped. We came home to find that Naruto died and his death resulted in the Kyuubi dying altogether. Then I was reverse summoned to Mount Myoboku. He laughed bitterly and said, ha ha ha. I never saw him that active in his life. The entire prophecy changed after we found out that Naruto died. I guess he was the child of prophecy and we failed him. He groaned. Minato was depressed, too. He felt bad about leaving Naruto to face a fate worse than death. Instead of dying quickly, Naruto Uzumaki suffered a terrible death in which the child's body was partially consumed. His guilt stems in part from allowing the person who could have transformed the shinobi world to perish. Though not entirely, he felt bad for causing his son such suffering. Being a shinobi, he sacrificed his son for the village while attempting to save the shinobi world and the village with his daughter. What's the new prophecy, again? The great Toad Sage said that a boy made of swords will save the shinobi world or let it die. Even if Mito becomes the greatest kenjutsu user, the great Toad Sage said that the child of prophecy is a boy, male, not female. He stated, in order to give his daughter a chance to be the child of prophecy, Minato taught her how to wield a sword because he didn't believe that part. He reasoned that if one child was meant to be great, why couldn't the other? With this prophecy we won't be able to know when the time to save the shinobi world comes. We could just be in another war or be in a fight for our very survival. Minato merely gave his remark a nod. He observes the conflict between Neji and his daughter. Although he is proud of her for overcoming all of life's obstacles to get this far, he is beginning to see that she will never be able to save the shinobi world. Her sword skills were lacking. In addition to throwing a few fuinjutsu scrolls around, she would always rely on all of the weapons she had learned from her parents. She used a scroll to release a lot of water, and then she used some water jutsu. She required a source because she lacked the chakra capacity to transform her chakra into water. He would always respect her fighting skills, though, even when she was at a disadvantage. To Mito, Neji said, give up. Neji was breathing heavily, but Mito started to take some deep breaths. She is much more successful at weakening him than he is at weakening her. Due to the continuous use of chakra, she was primarily weakening herself during the battle. Although she was able to avoid getting hit, it also indicates that she is not a good hit taker, which is typical of a kunoichi. She yelled, I will never give up. He tried again, saying, stop this madness, I have nothing against you personally. Too bad. I do, he asked, what did I do to you? It's not what you did to me, it's what you did to Hinata. Chan. You mock her. Called her failure. She worked extremely hard to get where she is and you mock her for it and even tried to kill her, she yelled at him. She refused to accept her best friend's fate without taking revenge. What gives you the right to say all of that? At that, Neji snorted. Untying his headband was his next move. The seal on his forehead startled her. In conclusion, he tied his headband again and said, if you're so interested about clan matter, let me fill you in about the Hyuga clan. Story about the Hyuga clan and of his father's death. That is my right. The main branch family sacrificed my father for the clan head. I have every right to hate everyone part of the main branch. Naruto's teeth started to grind. I despise the shinobi race because of this. To give up everything for your community. Happiness, family, friends, even life, he thought. He was upset about Neji's ambition to become a shinobi but his failure to recognize what a shinobi is, not the story itself. He saw it as a double standard. He may occasionally come across as a little hypocritical, but he never deviated from his own self-centered code. As in, I'll never forgive anyone who takes from me. That is, he will hold someone accountable if they hurt someone he loves or something significant. The people he loves control his life. He has a strong moral compass and some honor, but he is prepared to compromise them in order to keep his loved ones safe. In the sense that he is not betraying himself, he is not truly acting hypocritically. Since Minato Namikaze stole his humanity and his childhood, he is currently the only person he cannot forgive. He found it difficult to assign some blame to Kushina after witnessing her current state. Naruto yelled at Neji before Mito had a chance to protest. Grow up, attracting the stadium's attention. A shinobi is someone that gives up everything for their village. How can you claim to be a shinobi, but cry about losing your father? He was a shinobi, so it was expected he gave up his life for his village. I can't stand your hypocrisy. You became a shinobi. You forfeit everything for your village as soon you put that headband on. Deal with it. He let loose, shocking everyone. He had a strong dislike for the shinobi system, as everyone who knew Naruto, Gaara, Krulcifer, Xenovia, Koyuki, Temari, Ilia, Sami, Mei, Yugito, and Kankuro knew. He couldn't support a system that violates his own pledge to protect his loved ones. He was aware that parents would give up their kids for the sake of their community. He believed that parents ought to give up the village for their kids. I suppose he will never be able to get rid of the deep scar. The irate white-haired freelancer is the center of attention for everyone, considering what he said, before Mito or Neji had a chance to respond. Boom boom, numerous explosions took place at the Kage booth and throughout the village. Almost all of the Kages escaped the explosion unscathed. The roof above the roof is where they landed. Leaf Shinobi were already fighting the threat by deploying throughout the village. There was total chaos in the stadium. The actions of Root and Otto Shinobi were being reacted to by all of the foreign shinobi who were with their Kage. Genins had no idea what to do and were in utter shock. Chuunin and Jonin were killed either fending off the attackers or in the surprise attack. There was disagreement among foreign shinobi about what to do. Although it wasn't their village, the village was attacked. The majority simply went to safeguard the VIPs and reassemble to determine their next move. I, clad in his renowned lightning Amor, demanded, "What's going on?" At that moment, a number of shinobi with the Sound Village's emblem materialized all around him. He charged, saying, "You dare attack a Kage," and began to murder them. To get ready for combat, the other Kage just removed their Kage attire. Hiruzen simply glanced around. No, he pondered. His village was surrounded by several large smoke screens. He yelled at the shinobi being slain by the Raikage, "Who dare attack Konoha?" The other Kage simply get ready for self-defense. A spooky voice said, "Ku ku ku. Why sensei, it's me of course," out of their rear. The four Kage turned to face the voice's origin. At the sound of the voice, Hiruzen went pale. He recognized the owner of that voice. Hiruzen muttered, "No," he turned slowly to look at the voice's owner. All he saw was a familiar pale man with snake-like eyes. "Orochimaru," snarled the old-timer. "Ku ku ku. That shouldn't be the response to your most gifted student, sensei," replied Orochimaru. Before they had a chance to talk further, Onoki began to rise, indicating that he was beginning to take things seriously. Onoki said grumpily, "What are you doing here, brat?" Orochimaru chuckled and asked, "Why if it isn't the legendary Tsuchikage? I'm here to destroy this village of course. I'm sure that someone like you wouldn't interfere with my schemes if it involved weakening Konoha," he said with assurance. Iwa's resentment of Konoha for Minato's actions during the Third Great War was well known. He offered to help, saying, "I think that you would join my efforts in destroying Konoha." Onoki said, snort, "You're right," frightening Hiruzen. The Fourth Great Shinobi War will start if Onoki joins Orochimaru, Hiruzen began to fear. At that moment, Onoki formed a transparent white box in his hands and placed a white sphere inside. Then he made it larger so that Orochimaru was trapped. Surprised the Snake Man a little. Everything in the box, Orochimaru, turned to dust at that moment. "You would be right, but I know about your experiments on the citizen of the Land of Stone. We found your base along with all your experiments. There is also the fact that I can see Root working with your Otto Shinobi. Particle style. Detachment of the primitive world jutsu. A jutsu technique that breaks down the target at the molecular level." He flew down and turned to face Hiruzen, who was grinning appreciatively. "Now that is done with, Hiruzen, I advise you to handle your issue. I will not involve myself or my village in your affair." He began to leave in order to assemble his shinobi in order to protect the stadium. In this manner, he can avoid becoming involved in the invasion while protecting the VIPs that are important to his village and his daimyo. Additionally, based on the smoke source indication, the majority of the fighting took place close to the wall. Konoha responded to the attack, it was implied. Hiruzen gave this a nod. Even though he could understand his position, he hoped that he would help him. He had a duty to prioritize his village. In the past, Mei dispatched shinobi to every village to ask for assistance in the uprising, but Minato and every other village refused. He then turned to face the other Kages. Mei was the first to speak. She followed Onoki's lead in defending the stadium until the invasion was over, saying, "I'm sorry Hokage. Dono, but I can't risk the few shinobi that Kiri has on a village that refused to come to our aid." Rasa responded in the same way as the other two. Hiruzen sighed in disappointment. "This is what I should have anticipated. Other than itself, Konoha has not assisted any other villages. When we don't help others, I shouldn't expect assistance. The Raikage is at least assisting." In a way, the Raikage was simply destroying as many Otto and Root shinobi as he could. His shinobi simply do as he says. A few battles between Konoha and Kumo shinobi would take place. A face-off would result from some people getting caught in the crossfire because Kumo wasn't supporting Konoha. A Konoha Jonin had to order his fellow shinobi to disperse. They couldn't be picky about the assistance they received. Kumo wasn't here to help Konoha. They were here to kill their enemy. Jiraiya and Minato have already departed to engage in combat with the shinobis and snake summons on the front lines. To protect it, everyone else remained at the stadium. Numerous citizens and VIPs from all over the elemental nation crowded the stadium. Despite being the most heavily fortified location in the village, it was an excellent target to hit. With the exception of Genins, the majority of Konoha's shinobi departed to either join the counterattack or leave the village. To come up with a plan on the roof, Hiruzen looked out over the village. He had a plan, but something stopped him. Ninja arts. 4 violet flames formation, yelled 4 shinobi of Orochimaru's cloak. Hiruzen was ensnared by a strong barrier. He began scanning his surroundings to assess the situation. With a cunning laugh, he said, "Ku. Do you think that fool, Onoki, was enough to kill me, sensei?" Sigh. I could only hope. Hiruzen replied, taking off his clothes and getting ready for combat. Then, as his student charged at him, he produced a shuriken and hurled it at him. Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. Orochimaru's few shuriken turned into a large number. At his attempt to murder him, Orochimaru could only smirk. He joined his hands. Orochimaru yelled, summoning jutsu. Reanimation. At that moment, a coffin emerged from the roof's floor. The first coffin came fully into view. Second. Then another one showed up. To stop the shurikens, both were in front of him. Oh no. Don't tell me that he brought those 2 back because he knows that jutsu. Hiruzen pondered. On the inside, he was freaking out, but he was calm. When the coffins opened, the 3rd Hokage saw 2 faces he recognized. With Minato, following the explosion, he immediately prepared for combat. To deal with the attackers, he and Jiraiya departed. They parted ways. While he began to eradicate the enemy, Jiraiya would handle the numerous giant snakes. Near him, Minato dispatched a root shinobi. He said aloud, "Damn it Danzo. How could you attack your home?" The idea of Danzo attacking Konoha was unbelievable to him. He was aware that he had previously killed Konoha members, but he did it for the sake of Konoha. The village he has dedicated his life to defending is being directly attacked. An old, familiar voice behind him said, "I attack because it's weak." Minato turned to face him after teleporting away. Danzo was there, but he was unique. He covered his eye with a bandage, but it turned out to be Sharingan. His right arm is also allegedly missing. It wasn't his arm, but it was there. The face on the white arm looked like Hashirama's. Additionally, roughly 6 Sharingans have been implanted into the arm. Probably because he tried to eradicate the Uchiha clan. He then began to make a hand gesture, saying, "We lost the Kyuubi Jinchuriki because of leadership like yours and Hiruzen, as well as the fact that the Uchiha holds too much power. The Uchiha can't be trusted," he exclaims before attacking Minato. Minato got ready for combat. With Hiruzen later, along with his student, Hiruzen had to fight against his own teachers. The 1st and 2nd Hokage, Hashirama Senju and Tobirama Senju, were returned by Orochimaru. The worst part of the battle is when he finds out that, despite Danzo's assistance in his research, he was still unable to fully utilize the reanimated shinobi's abilities while they were alive. This is because Danzo allowed the shinobi to retain their personality and memory for psychological warfare. The two discover that Konoha is currently in a precarious position and that the force that was attacking it at the time was betraying Konoha. The decline of their village deeply saddened them. It was founded on the idea that cooperation would lead to a better future. That expectation was not met by Konoha. A village full of traitors and those who don't know the real meaning of the will of fire somehow came up with a new interpretation of it after they passed away. Peace will be brought about by power rather than love. Those in authority only want to increase their own or the village's power. War will always result from such a strategy. Then there is the Uchiha clan news. He was taken aback by their increased initiative on behalf of Konoha. If the stories are accurate, the Uchiha rescued Konoha when his own student, Danzo, attempted to overthrow them. However, he never trusted them the way he trusted the other clan. They also learned of the 4th Hokage's disappointment. Although he gave off the impression of being a strong shinobi who would benefit the village, he ultimately fell short of that expectation. In addition to breaking the international rules that Tobirama established for himself, he abandoned the village when it was in need and left his son to die a torturous death. They were devastated to learn that their own villagers had brutally murdered a defenseless 4-year-old and were still blaming the deceased for all of their misfortune. With disappointment, Tobirama thought, the village isn't the same village they left it. He thought bitterly, it appears that the Uchiha clan is the only hope for restoring the will of fire. Although it appears that those individuals are the ones keeping the village afloat with their meager power while those in positions of authority are sinking it, he didn't want anyone with Madara's blood running the village. When he kicked, Hashirama tried to warm him up by saying, "Saru, dodge." Hiruzen, however, was launched to the opposite end of the barrier after failing to dodge in time. Water Style. Water Dragon Jutsu. In order to attack Hiruzen, Tobirama had to conjure a strong water dragon by collecting water from the atmosphere. The jutsu made contact. Hiruzen was nearing the end of his journey. Speaking with his teachers again left him unable to handle the assault and the attack on his heart. As their Hokage faced off against the other two, the Anbu outside could only watch in horror. Orochimaru laughs uncontrollably. Ha. He enjoyed every second of the fight. One of the two dead men was able to block or counter whatever Hiruzen threw at them, while the other attacked Hiruzen. It appeared as though Orochimaru would prevail. Hiruzen, covered in blood and bruises, rose to his feet. As he gets ready to die, he looks down at his teachers. "I'm sorry, Hashirama. Sensei, Tobirama. Sensei. I failed to stop you too," Hiruzen said pitifully. Hashirama assured him, "It's not your fault. You tried your best." Tobirama merely gave a grunt. Orochimaru orders Tobirama to kill Hiruzen, saying, "I think it's time to finish this. Sensei. Kill him." Tobirama Senju. When Tobirama was unable to resist, he began to approach a weary, injured student slowly. He approached Hiruzen slowly. Zudan. 10. Everyone in the barrier heard a cool, collected voice. They were confused by the statement, but the most unexpected thing happened next. Bang! They shot off Orochimaru's left arm. The snake clutched the socket of his left arm and fell to his knees in agony. The four-armed man screamed, "Orochimaru! Sama!" as he pounded on the barrier from his corner. "How the hell did that happen?" exclaimed a redhead woman, bewildered. "It shouldn't be possible to get past the barrier without hurting one of them." Tobirama was able to halt Orochimaru's harm, but he lacked the self-control to fully defy him. The two deceased men began searching for the attacker's sign. Right now, their ally is anyone who hurts Orochimaru. Hashirama took advantage of the opportunity to clear the forest in order to observe what was going on outside. Finally, he thought, help was coming. Tobirama sees a ray of light in the barrier after scanning it. He gestured toward it. His comment was, "Look, someone managed to bypass the barrier." It brought the ray of light to everyone's attention. A trained eye could detect a tiny ray pointing in the direction of Orochimaru. It left a gap in the barrier there that prevents regeneration. Both Tobirama and Hashirama squint at the hole to observe that the Hokage mountain was indicated by the hole pin's angle. Previously with Naruto, there were several explosions in the village. People in the stand were nodding off. Shinobi from Root and Otto began to show up everywhere and begin murdering people. Naruto tucked his grenade launcher into his storage ring and thought, "Looks like my contact was right." He looked around. Xenovia drew a Surmaru, and Krulsifer drew her sidearm. They are both prepared for combat. Panic gripped the daimyos. They had no idea what was happening. To get an answer, they looked to their samurai guards. Boom! There were several holes made in the walls. About 20 Root shinobi were pouring out of them. The ninja guards and samurai have already been killed. They arrived with the goal of capturing every daimyo so that their master could control every nation. While Naruto remained with his sister, Xenovia and Krulsifer stayed with Koyuki to keep her safe. Ilia merely finds the Root ninja amusing. Then, Root looks in the direction of Krulsifer and Xenovia. They were instructed to apprehend the Magus killer and his group. Prior to Krulsifer firing at the approaching Root, Ilia heard Naruto whisper to himself, "Time alter. Square excel." Naruto's speed was blinding. In a split second, he dispatched every Root ninja in the room. When Naruto traveled at that speed, his afterimage left a trail, leaving a trail of the 20 shinobi he killed. They're freaking out because they've never seen such speed and the kind of afterimage it leaves. The speed at which it left an afterimage was astounding. Nobody was able to follow or stay on course. The afterimage that Naruto left behind in his wake was only partially visible to the best. The others only saw a blur. From where he was standing with Ilia, Naruto remarked, "Yar yar. Looks like Konoha is in trouble." That brought him to the attention of nearly everyone. When Naruto killed the Root shinobi, he was cleaning his hidden blades. It was unknown to anyone in the room whether or not he lived up to his reputation as the fastest man alive. Naruto smiled and exuded a laid-back attitude. He pulled back his blade and said to her, "Koyuki, I'm going to deal with the troublemakers." She merely nodded in response to his request. I hope this is okay with you. Then Naruto turned to face the two girls. He turned to Ilia and took something from his coat to give her. Krulsifer, I'm leaving you in charge of protecting Koyuki. Xenovia, listen to her when she tells you something. Medusa was a baby snake. Ilia took it from him. The adorable snake was asked, Medusa, I'm going to ask that you protect Ilia. Okay. After giving a nod, Medusa put her arm around Ilia. Then he turned to leave. He was totally at ease, not worried about the invasion or his personal safety. He moved in the direction of Hokage Rock, the best viewpoint. It took him a while to arrive. He lets the shinobi fight among themselves all around him. He was almost like a ghost to them because of his serene manner. Unable to be noticed, Naruto was simply grinning as he moved across the battlefield. When he eventually reached the summit of the mountain, he placed himself atop Tobirama's head. For a sniper, it was the ideal location. Then he set up a Barrett 50 calories that he had taken out of his ring. Kurama remarked, You seem happy, in reference to his demeanor during the invasion. Are you pleased with the attack on Konoha? He asks when Naruto appears content the entire time. He lowered himself and positioned himself in front of the big sniper rifle, saying, Hard to say. I'm not trying to be. The best quality for a sniper is lightheartedness. Naruto responds. I understand. You can snipe someone from anywhere as long as they don't sense that you're trying to kill them. Maintaining your composure and happiness would make you invisible to the shinobi around you. Astute. Kurama deliberated. In a situation like this, maintaining composure is very challenging. In order to be effective for a sniping mission, Naruto produced a special magazine that was loaded with carefully crafted magical bullets that took time to make. The sniper rifle was then loaded. Naruto focuses on the purple barrier after noticing it while looking through the scope. Can't see much in that barrier. There is a bunch of trees. Where did trees come from? Question from Naruto. I'm not sure. We are aware that Konoha is being overrun by the cripple and snake. Perhaps Hashirama has been resurrected. Notes indicating Snake was studying reanimation jutsu were discovered. He had the option to bring him back to aid in the village's destruction. Naruto replaces the scope with a thermal vision scope and says, Give me a second. I see two heat source in the barrier. One of the source looks like it's getting its ass kicked by nothing, so you might be right. The other one is standing back, but there is no way to confirm that it's Orochimaru. Hold up, I think that one has a very long tongue. Naruto said with an air of disdain. Yes, Orochimaru is that one. That length of tongue would only belong to him. Naruto merely grinned while pointing his long tongue at the heat source. He dismissed the Barrett after saying, Zudan. In a cool, collected tone. In order for his target to hear the voice that killed him, he channels prana, or mana as it is officially known. Naruto prefers the name prana. The bullet struck the target's arm after it slightly shifted. Naruto said, somewhat amused, damn. Miss by an arm. He was able to keep sniping them because of this. Naruto returns to his normal scope and says, looks like the forest is coming down. Naruto then focuses on Tobirama and says, looks like both Senju were brought back. 10. Naruto grinned and said, oops, they found me. But it's too late. Zudan. Kurama laughed at this. Then he shot them with a volley of bullets. Kurama thought, the brat is enjoying this. With the Hokages again, on the top of his head, Tobirama noticed someone, before he could respond. Zuodan. He and Hashirama both suffered head injuries. Hiruzen and Orochimaru were taken by surprise. The two dead men's heads were slowly growing back, but Orochimaru was still injured and could only give them commands. Hiruzen was taken aback by his teacher's head's abrupt destruction. He was taking advantage of this opportunity to get the breathing room he needed because he was still too hurt to do anything properly. At last, Tobirama and Hashirama's heads grew back. Orochimaru ordered the Sound 4 to take down the barrier, and they did so. You two, he said, gesturing to Tobirama and Hashirama. The two were compelled to attack Naruto after hearing the words, go after the one on top of the Hokage rock and kill him. This will be my only opportunity, Hiruzen reflected. Then, since Orochimaru was not listening, he proceeded through a series of hand signals. Sealing Jutsu, Reaper Death Seal. Hokage Rock, Naruto grinned and remarked, looks like the dead people are coming for me. He began to stow his sniper rifle. They are still strong, even though they might not be as strong as they were when they were alive. Kurama gives Naruto advice. There's more than enough to overwhelm that old man. Naruto pulled out a cigarette and lit up, saying, ya. Awaiting the arrival of Tobirama and the legendary Hashirama, he desired to put himself to the test against them. As Naruto watches the battle raging throughout Konoha, he enjoys his cigarette. He was impressed by the Uchiha clan's efforts to defend an undeserving village. The only shinobi clan he would ever respect is the Uchiha clan. As he flicked the cigarette off the cliff, Naruto remarked, "You finally arrive." Naruto rose from the Hashirama's head's edge. He turned to confront the two who had given him the order to kill him. Hashirama exclaimed in shock, "You?" He was shocked that someone so young could hurt Orochimaru and get past a strong barrier, saying, "You're only a genin." Tobirama was examining him closely. There was a sense that made him more cautious. As Naruto reached for his storage ring to activate it, he said, "Wrong. I'm not even a shinobi." They were taken aback to discover that it was Tobirama's sword of the Thunder God. Then he grinned. The wind was blowing as the showdown was about to start. "I'm a freelancer. Time alter. Triple excel." He changed his internal time flow so that it moved at an unfathomable speed. He managed to nick off Tobirama's left arm and cut off Hashirama's arm. The brothers thought to themselves, "He's fast." Naruto lets them heal their bodies. He desired a conflict with them. "Who are you?" demanded Tobirama. "Where are you from? Why do you have my sword?" "Laugh. You can call me the Magus Killer. The youngest S-rank, shinobi. I became wanted by Konoha at the age of 12 for being so powerful. I'm from a country called Germany and your sword. I killed the man that stole it long ago." Naruto said using air quotes about shinobi. Tobirama questioned, "What? It was stolen?" That fact caught him off guard. He anticipated being in the Hokage Tower's vault, the safest spot in the village. "Several years ago, a jonin of your village stole the sword and went rogue. The fourth Hokage only tried to attempt to get it back once, but that failed. He since believed it would be a waste of resource to hunt down a relic when there was a terrorist group inside the Land of Fire. That traitor later came to face me when I became the youngest and most wanted S-rank shinobi. People wanted me for my power that I trained myself to earn. That man was no different. I defeated him and claimed the sword as my own." Hashirama said, "Why don't you give it back to Konoha? It isn't yours." Attempting to see the boy's positive aspects. "I can't in the first place. Konoha placed a 100 million ryo bounty on my head because I was powerful and didn't belong to any village. I offer my service to those that can afford me, but Konoha wanted the complete package and thus tried to capture me and force me into servitude." He replied. His words make Hashirama wince. He couldn't hold him responsible for his failure to return his younger brother's blade. Following a series of hand signals, Hashirama felt the command to murder the boy in front of him. The same thing happened to Tobirama. Wood style. Wood dragon jutsu, water style. Water dragon jutsu. To murder the boy, both brothers summoned a strong dragon. Naruto merely grinned. He swiftly jotted down some unexpected runes in the air. Given that it used similar but distinct writing, they believed it to be a very advanced form of fuinjutsu. To absorb the blow, Naruto erected a massive wall of wood in front of him. "Wood release!" exclaimed Hashirama, startled, because he assumes that the wood release is the Senju bloodline. He knows that he is lying. At the expense of the jutsu itself, the water dragon destroys the tree barrier. Then, behind the wood barrier, they noticed an ice barrier. "Ice release too!" exclaimed Tobirama. The wooden dragon was gradually encased in ice until the entire thing was covered. The dragon was then destroyed when it burst into snowflakes, leaving Naruto grinning at them from behind his scarf mask. After that, he was ruined once more. Then, like in Hashirama's Nativity of a World of Trees, a great deal of wood emerged from the earth and charged at them. Hashirama allowed it to capture him in order to validate a theory of his, but Tobirama managed to get away. The wood release proves he is from our family, even though he never claimed to be from Konoha or be a Senju. As he allowed the wood to suffocate his entire body, Hashirama thought, unless this isn't wood release, but is something else. "This isn't a wood release, Tobirama," he exclaimed for his brother after he had escaped the wood that was binding him. "It's not wood release. Wood release absorbs chakra. This is just wood. Powerful wood that doesn't absorb chakra. It has to be some sort of fuinjutsu." Tobirama absorbed the explanation from his brother. That implies that his ice would also be a type of fuinjutsu. It must be fuinjutsu because he wrote strange fuinjutsu to make the jutsu appear, but I haven't seen anyone do such a foot. Not even the clan of Uzumaki. It is terrifying to execute Kekkei Genkei jutsu using only fuinjutsu. If he can do this and probably more, I can understand why he is the youngest S-rank shinobi. He bears no resemblance to the clan of Uzumaki. He has white hair and blue eyes. Tobirama pondered, that is a rare trait for any human. That caught his attention. Tell me, Hashirama Senju. Naruto questioned, what does it mean to be a shinobi? He was as interested in the boy as his brother was, so he asked, why do you ask in the first place? Naruto uttered the black words, I detest shinobi. I was expected to become a shinobi, but I listened to my family and chose the path I want. I became an assassin because my father is an assassin. A man that kills for his belief and for his selfish reasons. So tell me, what does it mean to be a shinobi? Why is it expected that everyone have to become a tool for their village? Hashirama took in what Naruto had to say. A shinobi is a person that endures. They endure pain to protect their village. Shinobi aren't tools. They're human with power to fight for a higher purpose. Naruto laughs at him and says, ha ha ha. Tobirama frowns, but Hashirama is perplexed. I hear that a shinobi is someone that endures, but I only see that they sacrifice. What do you mean? Inquired Tobirama. He was intrigued by him. In my opinion, a shinobi is someone that sacrifice everything for their village. Their life, dreams, goals, loved ones, friends, family, and everything else that makes them a human being. They become nothing but tools for their village. Even you Hashirama sacrifice everything for your village. You killed your best friend, sacrificed the life of your children to a life of the shinobi way, your dream of peace for the world, and eventually your life. Every shinobi sacrifice everything for their village. You even brainwash children, Naruto continued. Hashirama began to experience flashbacks. He witnessed the death of his father and sibling, his rise to the position of clan leader, the founding of Konoha with Madara, Madara's murder, and, lastly, his participation in a war and eventual death when he sought peace. He maintained his convictions despite the fact that everything he said was accurate. Tobirama retorted, we don't brainwash children. We train them into fighting for their village. That's brainwashing. Children are easily impressed and can be convinced to do anything if they are taught to. You taught children at the age of 5 to kill people for their village. How can there be peace if the next generation are indoctrinated to kill anyone if it meant to be a service for their village? Hashirama approached. He could see his resentment and rage toward the shinobi race. Why do you feel this way? There has to be a reason for this. Though he disagreed with it, everything he said about shinobi is true. There was silence for a minute. It's because I was born in the elemental nation. I was born into one of the shinobi village and it was expected that I give up my life for a village that wanted me dead. A man found me and adopted me and took me beyond the veil. Surprised both of them. They were aware of the veil, but they would remain receptive to it even though everyone thought it was the end of the world. My father, the man that saved me from death, gave me back my humanity and I got to get out of the veil. Out there was humans without chakra. A place where peace exists between over 100 countries. No more killing, no more sacrifice, no more pain. Humans no longer seeking out war, but seek out to create a miracle. Here, shinobi seek out blood. My father created a miracle and saved me from dying after getting past the veil. My father even managed to bring back someone from the dead without sacrificing someone. He just let the dead feed on his own power to sustain itself in the living world. That shocked Hashirama. Since his brother's reanimation jutsu required someone to die in order to function, he frowns at it. A more humane method of resurrecting the dead was the Magus way. After a while, Tobirama asked, but it was more of a declaration, "You're Uzumaki Naruto." He was able to put it all together. Children's suffering was kept to a minimum until a certain age, even after they passed away. Both Hiruzen's and Naruto's accounts, as well as his present age, suggested that Uzumaki Naruto was the Magus killer. As Hashirama heard his student's agonizing story, he fixed Naruto with his gaze. Hiruzen only omitted the fact that he was actually the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki rather than a phony one because he couldn't bring himself to admit it because Minato was to blame. Naruto laughed sourly. They weren't shocked by his response. I'm Emiya Naruto, son of Kuritsugu Emiya and Irispiel von Einsburn. A proud magus of the Emiya house. Uzumaki died on that cross 10 years ago. After experiencing such a traumatic event, most people cannot say they're the same person. Children died, but they were never tortured as Naruto was, not even during the time of the Warring States. Throwing down the sword, Naruto pulled out his Thompson contender and fired Hashirama with the ordinary bullet he usually keeps in the chamber, declaring, "It's time to end this." The gunshot caused Hashirama to lose a portion of his chest. Naruto had already reloaded the contender with a chakra origin round when Tobirama charged at him with a kunai. He was shocked to learn that Tobirama was not affected in the same way that other shinobi were. Damn reanimation. His regeneration is merely slowed down. I suppose the chakra network is rebuilt by the reanimation jutsu. Naruto examines as Tobirama's body heals. His chakra went out of control, causing it to explode, and the origin round tore his body to pieces. The three charge at one another in a battle of death after the two have regenerated. The Senju brothers were compelled to kill the child who suffered more than they did, even though they didn't want to. They couldn't hold Naruto responsible for his hatred of the shinobi way because they could never experience the same level of suffering at such a young age. They are allowed to be children even though Naruto had to rely entirely on himself to survive at that age. Against the two, Naruto fought valiantly. They had limitless chakra and could regenerate, but he would always win and defeat them. Naruto yelled, "Damn, why won't you two stay down?" The never-ending fighting was wearing him out. Though they can last until the end of time, he is shown to be more powerful than the two, and even with his chakra and noble kitsune circuits, Naruto cannot keep up indefinitely. "We will keep regenerating. You need to seal us or completely destroy our body," Tobirama stated to him. At last, the two agreed that it was time to go back to the afterlife. Naruto thought aloud, so a series of fast attacks might work. To cover a lot of ground, Naruto leaps back. Then he turned on his ring, but it was a huge, blinding light instead of a tiny, bright one. The two were confronted by strange, glowing floating weapons after the light vanished. Naruto yelled, "Multiple gun control." 11. There were submachine guns, sniper rifles, and pistols all around him. Gosh, Zelrech was correct. Naruto thought, anime and manga are really helpful. After reading Cho Young Man's Witch Hunter manga, he developed the mana guns he currently wields. He was motivated to replicate it since it was a potent technique in the manga. He created weapons that fire concentrated mana bullets by concentrating on absorbing his mana. The creation of the mana guns and their advanced form required all of his rune expertise. Learning how to replicate Tasha's ability to control several guns at once was even more difficult. There was a great deal of trial and error. The sight stunned the two Senju brothers. They had a gut feeling that the scene was what would defeat them, even though they didn't understand it. Open fire. Stadium. Without testing, Naruto's first use of the multiple gun control was successful. It operated exactly as it did in the manga, but it took a lot of power from his circuits. After destroying Hashirama and Tobirama Senju, he then went back to the stadium to be with his loved ones. The invasion was over when Naruto finished his battle. Itachi killed every traitor to Konoha, Hiruzen sacrificed his life to remove Orochimaru's jutsu, and Fugaku led a successful counterattack. But Danzo and Orochimaru both managed to get away. Hiruzen was unable to take Orochimaru to the afterlife with him, and Danzo used his final Izanagi to flee the conflict with Minato. The others reconvened at the stadium to decide on the next course of action. The Chuunin exam was undoubtedly over, and Konoha now had to explain the situation to the other villages. He questioned his lovers, "You had any trouble, Krulsifer, Xenovia?" Krulsifer answered, "No problem on our end." With satisfaction, Xenovia remarked, "Just a few shinobi trying to kill us, but they weren't strong." Ilia rushed up to give him a hug. The first person to notice his wounds was her. "Oni-chan, you're hurt, then?" Nervous laugh. "I just had to deal with Hashirama and Tobirama. For two dead men, they couldn't stay down when I put them down," replied Naruto. She and the others just gave him a glance. Regretfully, his story was heard by others as well. Minato heard it. Not good. When Orochimaru reanimated Hashirama, Sama and Tobirama. Sama, he vanquished them. He is too dangerous and strong. If he's willing to help anyone, I can't allow him to pose a threat to Konoha. I'm too exhausted from fighting Danzo to take on the Magus killer right now. There's nothing I can do, he thought. He suffered a lot of damage from Danzo's Izanagi during their battle because it was difficult to handle. In order to repel the invading army, he also frequently uses teleportation. He had low chakra and was weak. He wasn't thinking clearly because his career as Hokage is over. He demonstrated a set of hand signals that corresponded to the third Hokage's final jutsu. Sealing Jutsu. Reaper Death Seal. The Shinigami. That only he could hear materialized behind him at that moment. Minato. What have you done? Jiraiya exclaimed, startled. Kushina and Tsunade were also shocked. The jutsu he just performed is recognized by the three. Jiraiya's yell caught everyone's attention. Pardon me. It's for Konoha, Minato said in a whisper. Then, in an attempt to take Naruto's soul, he directed the Shinigami's arm towards him. Naruto just looked bewilderedly at Minato. His group members followed suit. All of Naruto's body froze at once, and he noticed the Shinigami standing behind Minato. Naruto saw nothing but blood after seeing the so-called God of Death. His eyes slit like Kurama's and turned red. He is a jerk, and it didn't take a genius to figure that out. People are aware of the shift. Those who knew the truth were afraid of what could make him lose his feelings in such a way. He was consistently composed and professional. When confronted with the God of Death, Minato expected him to be paralyzed with fear, but Naruto was furious. "You," mumbled Naruto. "You?" he murmured once more, but this time he was clenching his fist in rage. Unconsciously drawing from Kurama's chakra, Naruto entered the Kyuubi's chakra mode and exclaimed, "You faker." 12. His eyes turn golden orange, and a yellow chakra that resembles flickering flames emanates from them. They have 6 Magatama markings around their neck, a prominent circular or swirl design over their stomach, and other lines running the length of their body. Without realizing it, Naruto sent his chakra through the Shinigami's arm. "How dare a fake like you touch the real deal, you faker?" Kurama's chakra was then applied to the Shinigami's body. It was then that everyone saw the Shinigami. The aura of fear emanating from the Shinigami had frozen them all, but it was vanishing fast. Ilia, Krulcifer, and Xenovia were aware that Naruto was currently defeating a purported god while in his god mode. "Gah!" Minato let out a painful scream. When the Shinigami's aura began to wane, Tsunade hurried over to heal him. The golden chakra that covered the faker was also applied to him. The Shinigami's fear was visible to all. It appears to fear Naruto. It was unprecedented for Jiraiya, Minato, Kushina, and Tsunade to frighten the god of death. Naruto realized the truth the moment he laid eyes on the Shinigami. He knew that what Minato summoned was a fake, whether it was because of his passive spell, structural grasp, or the divine blood in him. Naruto had no idea what had made him so furious. It might be Kurama or his divine blood. It made no difference. The truth was out and the action was taken. Naruto burns the false god in Minato's chakra network, saying, "You're only a chakra construct that remembers the age of gods. You dare pretend to be a god in my presence? Be gone." Because of the connection, Naruto not only destroyed Minato's summoned chakra construct but also totally destroyed his chakra network. Although he prevented him from using chakra in the future, he saved his life from the faker. At last, Naruto relaxes and switches off Kyuubi chakra mode. A few years ago, he first unlocked that power. In the latter stages of his training, he let Kurama do as he pleased after fully removing the seal. Kurama synchronized with Naruto after Naruto trusted his best friend with his life, giving Naruto a new power and giving Kurama greater bodily freedom. This power's only drawback is the massive strain it placed on his body. Naruto's body isn't developed enough to manage the power, even with Avalon. To the best of her ability, Tsunade healed Minato's burns. Recognizing that hatred, Jiraiya and Kushina gazed at the Magus killer. It bore a striking resemblance to a creature they had held captive for many years. Krulcifer, Ilia, and Xenovia all appeared a little anxious as the secret was about to be disclosed. Minato had to know the truth, so he forced his body to rise above the guard. He needed to know if the boy in front of him was who he believed him to be, even though his body was burned and his chakra network was destroyed, things he is currently unaware of. With weakness, he exclaimed, "Who are you? How can you have the Kyuubi?" The other Kages remained silent and observed the exchange. Because they were Naruto's friends, some people wanted to stand up for him. As they awaited Naruto's response, the whole arena fell silent. He just kept his icy gaze fixed on the Konoha group. Prior to Naruto's response, swipe kick. A mysterious stranger kicked Naruto away. The stranger was a man in black pants, an open white-collared shirt, long black hair, and red eyes. But he had something in his hands that wasn't his. While everyone braced themselves for the arrival, the injured Magus killer caught everyone's attention. They were able to see his face clearly after he took off his scarf. He had noticeable birthmarks that made them think of the deceased Uzumaki Naruto and Mito Namikaze, which startled and alarmed them. Kushina broke down in tears. The boy's birthmark told her everything. His face had a structure that showed a mix of herself and Minato, and his eye looked like the man who gave her children. Softly, she cried, "NN Naruto." Jiraiya, Kakashi, Tsunade, and Minato all reached the same conclusion. They were all in shock. "It can't be. Is it really you? This has to be a genjutsu?" "How?" Naruto disregarded them. He was staring at the man who had attacked him. The man's hand had it, which was more significant. He was in possession of what Naruto views as one of his most valuable possessions. Like Kurama, his eyes turned red. He was so furious that his entire body was trembling. Bastard! Give that back! Yelled Naruto in a fit of fury. He felt more rage than he was letting out when he confronted the faker. Mocking laugh. Emiya Naruto, son of Emiya Kuritsugu and Iraspiel von Einsburn and brother to Iliaspiel von Einsburn. The boy born from the death of Uzumaki Naruto, son of Namikaze Minato and Namikaze Kushina and twin brother of Namikaze Mito. I expected more from the apprentice of Zelrech. The man let out a sarcastic chuckle. Naruto waved the scarf, his first gift from Iraspiel, like a trophy, which only made him more enraged. Naruto had lost interest in everything. He entered version 2 of the tailed beast cloak, allowing Kurama's chakra to take control, leaving his eyes white and enveloping himself in a blood-red chakra. Only rage filled. Krulcifer, Xenovia, and Ilia attempted to attack but were destroyed. They were aware of who he was, that he was more powerful than anyone in the stadium, and that he was not under Gaia's control. The others were swatted away like flies when they attempted to attack, causing them to feel ashamed and afraid. It was no easy feat for someone to defeat 4 Kages at once. The invasion may have weakened some, but the man was simply too strong. When Kushina attempted to approach Naruto, one of his tails swatted her away. The man was swatted away as Naruto charged at him. The man makes fun of him, saying, "Is this all you can do, Emiya-kun? I'm so disappointed." Naruto simply kept attacking the man viciously, but every attempt, like the others, was unsuccessful. Naruto yelled at him, "Give it back," but he was kicked away and collided with the wall. To his astonishment, the man calms Naruto down by throwing him the scarf. At last, Naruto calmed down enough to make the second version public. The enigmatic man had already wounded the majority of the powerful shinobi. During their attack, even the Magus fell. A dead apostle ancestor was too strong for them to defeat. The man's entire attention was on Naruto. This time, Naruto puts on his scarf without covering his face and asks, "Michael Rowa Valdemjong, the extra of the 27 dead apostle ancestors. Last I heard, Arcude Broomstude killed your last reincarnation. What is the infinite reincarnator inside the veil?" There was no point in hiding his face now that the truth was out. Nevertheless, a wounded Jiraiya was drawn to his nickname. If Naruto's claims are accurate, this man has the ability to reincarnate in the manner that Orochimaru intended. He thought, those two can never meet. The man's introduction is believed by him and the others. They think this is the Naruto they had who managed to survive all those years ago. All Naruto could do was look at the injured people nearby. Seeing his loved one in pain only made him more irate. He vanishes and reappears directly in front of him to seize him. "Ha ha ha. I'm here for you. You're special and interest me greatly. You would make a great host for my next reincarnation." 13. Naruto's eyes enlarge. This was no ordinary vampire. He feels that he was given the extra title because he was strong in comparison to dead apostates but weak in comparison to others. In actuality, he is regarded as an extra since he was not added to the list. Alter time. Penta Excel. As he got away from the man, Naruto thought. He produced his contender in order to use an origin round on the bloodsucker. Something that ought to work because he is a strong magus. But Michael had expected this. He attacks him with a lightning spell, aiming for his right shoulder joint. "Ah!" Naruto let out a painful scream. "Oni-chan! Naruto-kun! Naruto!" The 3 female magus let out a horrified shout. In order to stop Naruto from using Kuritsugu's mystic code, Michael cut off his right arm. The only danger Michael was concerned about was that anything Naruto threw at him, he could handle. Naruto was on his knees, clinging to the socket where his right arm had been. The monster was smiling maniacally at him when he looked up. Naruto began enveloping his body in the first version of the tailed beast cloak and Kurama chakra. He then unleashed a lightning bolt at Naruto, saying, "Laugh, the god sealed inside of you is more than enough to kill me, but to use his full power will kill you." The man refused to give up and Naruto just stared at him angrily. He then punched him, saying, "Those eyes. The one that never give up. I will crush your will," resulting in Naruto getting severely beaten. When Gaia's influence was taken away, Michael was too strong, so all of his attack was in vain. "Naruto. You must do it. Get your reality marble going. It's your only option," Kurama yelled as Naruto continued to be battered. The bleeding Naruto was then struck one last time, sending him flying. Since they were powerless to assist him, everyone could only watch in terror during the entire battle, but they saw that Naruto never gave up. "Kumara, the last time I tried it, it didn't work. This is your only opportunity to defeat him. The vampire is the only thing Naruto looks down at. Since he had to use something that he was not successful at using, he resigned at the fact. He was already exhausted from fighting the resurrected Hokages, and he was too injured to use any of his powerful spells without endangering everyone else. Naruto got to his feet and turned to the man. Then he recalls the aria he composed to help bring his reality marble to life. The showdown was the only thing everyone could watch. With his hands open, Naruto raised his left arm and pointed it in the direction of the man. "I am the bone of my sword." Swords started to appear all around him. There were even other weapons like spears, daggers, and poles. All aim at the man in front of him, Michael Rowa Valdemjong. People could only stare in shock to see so many weapons. "An aria. Interesting," Michael commented. "You're trying to use your reality marble." Shocking the girls. They knew that Naruto haven't been able to perform such a feat. "Steel is my body and fire is my blood. I strike from the shadow in the defense of those I cherish." All the weapons launch at the vampire. However, he easily dodged or destroyed them. He was hit several times, but nothing life-threatening. He then grabbed one of the swords and threw it at Naruto. The sword struck Naruto, but something else happened that he didn't expect. "Ha ha ha. Your reality marble isn't working. It's taking over your body. Your body is made of swords." However, that didn't discourage Naruto. On the sidelines, Jiraiya paid close attention to the showdown and was shocked to hear and see what was happening. Then the words of the great Toad Elder Sage rang throughout his head. "A boy made of swords shall save the ninja world or leave it to burn." Is Naruto the child of prophecy that the sage mentioned? He closely at Naruto when the blade struck him. He saw something that confirmed his suspicion. Underneath the skin is metal. They're swords. He is the one. Naruto charged at him holding onto a copy of X. Durandal that he made. Unaware of true peace, nor aware of despair. "I am the blade against all who threaten my loved ones." Naruto took a slash at Michael and a large explosion occurred due to the property of Xenovia's mystic code. He then jumped back to a safe distance seeing as the sword did hurt him. He was hoping that this will be the moment that he can activate his reality marble. "This is my vow to protect those I cherish, answer my resolve, unlimited blade works." The stadium was flooded with light. Before long, the light went out. Naruto mumbled, "No, I failed." He collapsed to his knees and lost consciousness. Ilia yelled, "Oni! Chan!" as she rushed to his unconscious body. Krulcifer and Xenovia also screamed, "Naruto-kun, Naruto," and rushed to him in an attempt to shield him. Michael exclaims, "Ha ha 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 ha! You failed! You can't even activate your reality marble." Loudly. Then he approached the small group of Magus slowly. Though they were too injured from the invasion, Naruto, or Michael, Kushina, Tsunade, Gaara, Temari, Kankuro, Yugito, B.I., Mei, Minato, Fugaku, Itachi, and Jiraiya attempted to rise to save Naruto. They couldn't get up, even though they wanted to save the white-haired boy. They were exhausted by the invasion, and they were even more exhausted by Michael. The extra was blocked by the three girls. His command to the three was, "Get out of my way, girls." The three girls stood up and blocked Naruto's path. The trio looks down at their potential demise. Ilia exclaimed, "Never, you won't hurt my family. Both of her parents passed away. If she allowed her younger brother to pass away, she would be damned." Krulcifer assured him, "Naruto-kun saved us, and we will never leave him. Now is our chance to save him. They're not scared of dying, which is the most likely outcome." Xenovia asserted, "If you wish to take him, you must first kill us." Asuramaru and X. Durandal were both in her grasp. All set for battle to the death. He approached them slowly and said, "So be it." He paces himself in order to intimidate the girls. He went on until Ilia's arm began to shine brightly, blinding everyone again. But it was different this time. A female voice said, "You dare threaten my servant? I shall make you pay for trying to take away what belongs to me." As the light started to go out, suddenly, Michael was struck by dozens of astral snakes that emerged from the light. In fact, the attack hurt him and made him retreat. When all the light had gone out, a stunning woman was standing there. It appeared from her appearance that she was about Naruto's and the other's age. She has golden eyes, pale, snow, white skin, and long, crimson hair. She's dressed in a skin-tight purple dress. All of the men in her immediate vicinity were captivated by her beauty. For someone so young, even women couldn't deny that she was more beautiful than they were. Michael snarled, "Who are you?" as others expressed similar apprehension. With utter conceit, she declared, I should have expected this from a lesser race. Emiya Naruto is our first summoner. His life belongs to me now. If anyone is going to take it away, it would be me. She then forms more astral snakes out of nature energy to destroy him. I'm Medusa, queen of the Snakemen tribe. She presses Michael Rowa Valdemjong with ease. He realized, you're using senjutsu. Jiraiya was drawn to this because he also practices senjutsu, but she uses snakes, which irritates him. How is it so powerful? There is no way it can be this powerful. Not even the toads or snakes summoned senjutsu can match this. She merely grinned. Lowly creatures like them don't know how to properly use senjutsu like my race. They mix nature energy with their chakra to create senjutsu. We merely refine nature energy without the need to mix it with chakra, making our senjutsu far superior than any other senjutsu practitioner. She joked at the end. Like her race being the strongest, she exuded confidence. That belief is only strengthened by her strength. Then, using the refined nature energy, she forms wings to soar toward the sky. She then gathers a small army of senjutsu astral snakes to attack the boy, saying, remember this. This boy's life belongs to this queen. No one else. Oh no, I find her senjutsu to be much too strong. This body isn't capable of handling it, Michael pondered. Then he left after cutting his losses to acquire Naruto. The attack produced an explosive blast. When Medusa saw him get away, she merely narrowed her eyes. Then, she flew down alongside the group of girls who were defending Naruto. Michael's voice reverberated throughout the stadium, leaving a message before she could respond. Remember this, Emiya Naruto. You're far more special than you realize. It wasn't your magical circuits that saved you from Gaia. I will have your body as my next reincarnation and find out why Gaia consider you so special. Everyone was perplexed by this statement, but the Magi understood. They knew that he couldn't possibly exist outside of the veil, but it seems like they don't even know about it. The truth would only be known by one person, but he is too obnoxious to handle. People began to assemble around Naruto as soon as they saw that the battle was finally over. Naruto's arm has already been retrieved by Xenovia, allowing Ilia to reattach it to his body. Ilia should be able to save Naruto and his arm thanks to her knowledge of Avalon and magic. Kushina was about to approach to finally hold her son when the younger, looking redhead stopped her. Kushina yelled at Medusa, "What are you doing? Get out of my way, he's my son." Medusa just looks irate. She then sent one of her snakes to attack her, saying, "You dare raise your voice against this queen? I'll make you pay for such disrespect." Jiraiya grabbed her before she was attacked and leapt back. Jiraiya attempted to calm everyone by saying, "Calm down everyone. What is most important is that we get Naruto some help. His life belonged to me. I will have my healers take care of my summoner. Not some weakling that bows down to those pesky frogs." Medusa laughed at him. She could tell he was a toad summoner just by looking at him. It became tense. Medusa stood up for Naruto when those members of Konoha attempted to place him under their control. While she was sleeping, she recalled all the time Naruto spent with her. She cannot deny that she enjoyed his company and his kindness to her when she was in that embarrassing state, even though it was humiliating to have him treat her like a pet. Tsunade would attempt to heal him, but Xenovia would push her away. As Ilia tried her best to save his magic crest and reattach his arm, Krulcifer kept watch over her. Kiritsugu implanted a magic crest on him. Since the magic crest can only be passed down through blood, how did Naruto get the Emiya's crest? The solution is straightforward. Most, if not all, of the circuits and research on the crest were gone, and Kiritsugu had no interest in the life of a magus. It was just an indication that you were the leader of the Emiya house. It was safe enough to pass the magic crest onto a new bloodline because it contained very few magic circuits. Additionally, Avalon and Kurama assisted Naruto in accepting the crest and repairing all of the harm the transfer had caused to his internal organs. 15. In an attempt to soothe his people, Fugaku proposed that Naruto be taken to a hospital so that his friends could tend to him. Jiraiya, Tsunade, Kushina, and a chakraless Minato wanted him completely under their control, so it was ignored. The whole truth had to be known to them. It looks like the argument is getting a bit violent. Medusa angrily yelled at them, "I have enough of your meddling." "So have I?" Kushina attacks her by forming chakra chains, but Medusa breaks the chains with her strong astral senjutsu snakes, attacks her, and sends her flying. She had been retired for years and was no longer able to compete in a real battle. Jiraiya calls upon Shima and Fukasaku to assist him in his fight against the queen. Shima said, "Jiraiya-chan, what have you summoned us for?" "Forgive me, Shima. Sama, Fukasaku. Sama, I need your help with this opponent." She is far stronger than I thought and she's capable of using senjutsu. Jiraiya replied to the two. Fukasaku asked around, who is it? Then he sensed a red-headed girl surrounded by a lot of nature energy. She forms another army of snakes, ready to attack at her command. Ha! You summon 2 little frogs to battle me. I shall make the world remember the power of the Snake Men tribe, she exclaims. Jiraiya. Chan. You summon us to fight her. She the queen of the Snake Men tribe. The most powerful summons to ever exist. Shima is frantic. They were able to identify her by reading her life signature using senjutsu. Since the Snake Men tribe no longer leaves their home, unlike other summons, only the elders remember them. Snake Men tribe? Who are they? If they're the most powerful summons, why haven't you told me? Jiraiya inquired. The Toads and Konoha members start to get a little scared when they learn who she is, but Medusa just watches with laughter. She gave them permission to speak about her people's humanity. The Snake Men tribe are extremely unique and powerful. They originated from the snake summons, but evolved. They evolved to the point that they can be their own species like humans. They're extremely powerful and far more advanced with senjutsu than any other summons. They only respect strength. No ninja have been able to get them to be their summoner because they were killed. They lost interest in the shinobi world anymore and stay home. Fukasaku clarified. Then he hopped in Medusa's direction, who was smiling as a result of the anxiety his explanation caused in the people she views as pests. He said politely, Queen Medusa, what are you doing outside of the Tager Desert? I'm here because our first summoner is in need of my help. I won't allow the first worthy human of my race to obey anyone but me, she stated to the elderly toad. Like Shima, he was in utter shock. It is unprecedented to hear the most arrogant race accept a summoner. I won't allow anyone take him from me. His debt is yet to be paid. He will pay with a life of servitude, she stated. They are shocked by that. They didn't like it because it sounded like slavery. How can you be so cruel? He's the child of prophecy. I won't allow him be controlled by the likes of you. Jiraiya cried out. Haha. I guess you heard the prophecy from that old fool, Gamamaru. She chuckles. The pervert is even more shocked by that. The fool, even if he's several years older than myself. Although she claims to be nearly as old as him, he thought she had the body of a goddess. The fool is so narrow-minded. He can't see beyond 2 feet in front of him. I don't care if this boy is the child of prophecy. He is strong and belong to me. Now, get out of my sight. She attacks the group in shock. They were astounded by her self-centeredness. For their own benefit or to carry out the prophecy, they desired Naruto's return. But before the army of snakes could attack their queen, commanded prey, all of the snakes disperse. Medusa yelled, who dares interfere? She wonders who cancelled the attack because she didn't. As he started to emerge between the two groups, a man said, all right kids, I think that this has gone on long enough, don't you? The man had red eyes, gray hair, a beard, and was dressed in black. He was carrying a cane. Deadly Medusa demanded, who are you? She was aware that she shouldn't mess with someone who could stop her attack. Zelrech! Exclaimed Xenovia, startled, grabbing everyone's interest. Medusa demanded, girl, who is this man? From Xenovia, she had no interest in getting to know them. The elderly vampire simply stood there, grinning and laughing. Xenovia would introduce him, that was his plan. This is Kischer Zelrech Schweinord. The shinobis gave him strange looks because his name wasn't Japanese. They were shocked to hear Medusa say, he's one of the strongest beings on this planet. She had faith in her own abilities. The best part for them was when they heard, he's also Naruto. Sama's godfather. Jiraiya exclaimed, impossible. I'm Naruto's godfather. In order for Naruto to be obedient to Konoha and preserve the shinobi world, he intended to take total control of his life. Zelrech informed him, Kukuku. That's where you're wrong. You're Uzumaki Naruto's godfather, but he died 10 years ago. This boy. Jiraiya pointed to the injured boy who was receiving treatment from Ilia and Krulsifer, giving the elderly man a stern look. Is Emiya Naruto? I saved his life from being an experiment and his father named me his godfather. He's my responsibility, not yours. As Kushina yelled, no, he isn't yours, he's mine, she charged at him. Tsunade and Jiraiya trailed behind. Each of the three is getting ready for their strongest assault. Then he snapped his finger, and they teleported high into the sky, saying, Kukuku. Youngsters like yourself should respect their elder. Then they came crashing down. The unexpected teleportation hurt all three of them. Then he appeared and used his cane to strike them in the head. This should keep you free from acting out. They are perplexed, but they soon realize that he has harmed them. Tsunade's transformation into an elderly woman was the first indication. Neither of the other two was able to shape their chakra. Tsunade demanded, "What the hell did you do to me?" Zelrech informed them, "I lock your chakra network. Until you all behave, I won't unlock it." Since they were at a loss for what to do, the three at last settled down. He left the shinobi to their own devices after saying, "But first off, I need to tend to my dear godson." They only knew that opposing them would be pointless. Fugaku did nothing but observe. He had to be careful. He would be up against a mysterious man and a strong woman if he made a single mistake. The others don't seem to give a damn. He holds an orb as he approaches Naruto. "Step aside for a minute, Ilia. Chan." He instructed her. She could not defy a magician, no matter how much she wanted to keep healing him as best she could. Then he struck Naruto's stomach with the orb. He smirked slightly and said, "Think of this as a birthday present." Naruto began to feel the orb's influence. "Ah!" Naruto let out an unconscious cry of agony. Medusa yelled, "Bastard! I told you his life belongs to me," and launched one of her snakes at him. Only after the orb merged with Naruto's stomach did Zelrech leap back. Medusa is about to launch her attack when Naruto shines another light, which attracted the attention of all. The shine was brief because it vanished rapidly. But something was left behind by the shine. It left behind a red, orange, furred, 9-tailed, pet-sized fox. Shinobi from Konoha know what or who that fox was. Kurama! Exclaimed the three female magus in surprise. When Naruto took them into his mindscape, they had already met him. Kurama mumbled, Impossible." He looked around. He examined his surroundings and his body. Then he looked at a vampire who was smiling. He demanded, "How did you set me free, Zelrech? What have you done?" But the girls didn't believe him. Even though he was too cute as he was, they didn't do anything to him, not yet. The orb. It's part of the servant system. Your current body is real, but originally it was made of mana. I gave you a body to live outside of Naruto-kun. It's something you deserve. Before you worry for his life, the orb connects you to him. He won't die with you free. You can easily come and go as you wish now, but now that there is a range on this. Zelrech explained to him. The kitsune is shocked. He was unsure of his thoughts. He always desired freedom, and when Naruto gave it to him, he declined, allowing Naruto to live. He now has both his friend and his freedom. Before Kurama could respond, as he started to give the girls orders to get Naruto somewhere safe to rest, Zelrech said, "Now, let's get Naruto somewhere safe. Kurama, he's your best friend, so I expect you to watch over him." Reluctantly, Medusa obeyed his command. After 3 weeks, everyone began working after the whole ordeal. Other villages' Kages and their inhabitants departed from the village, because they wanted to support their white-haired friend. Some shinobi wanted to stay, but all they could do was leave a letter for him to read when he woke up. Konoha began rebuilding and securing the village. Except for the children, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Fugaku, the recently appointed 5th Hokage, the Zelrech and Namikaze family were inside the Hokage Tower. Zelrech personally secured the hospital room where Naruto was taken. Throughout, Naruto was accompanied by Ilia, Kurama, Medusa, Krulcifer, Xenovia, and Koyuki. Additionally, Zelrech made the room a tiny dimension, giving the girls ample space to unwind and keep an eye on the Magus killer. Medusa won't go until she holds Naruto accountable for the embarrassment he caused her while she was sleeping. Minato slammed his fist against the wall and yelled, "What do you mean you won't hand over my own son?" Kushina, Tsunade, and Jiraiya shared Minato's way of thinking. He belongs to them since he is their child. Like I said, he's Kiritsugu's and Irisville's son. They raised him and I show up as the drunk uncle for a couple of his birthday party. Good times. Zelrech replied. Jiraiya questioned, "Then where are these two? Shouldn't they be here?" When he spoke to him, he frequently heard those two names. It should go without saying that they were the ones who adopted Naruto and saved him all those years ago. He stated solemnly, they would if they were alive. The statement, "They died away 7 years ago," depresses the atmosphere. "If they died, then he only have us left. He belongs with his family," said Kushina. "You're right. He does belong with his family, but you're not his family, Ilia. Shan is his last remaining family. I doubt that he would abandon her for people that abandon him, making them shudder. We are still his parents, even if we abandon him," said Minato. In a somber tone, Zelrech exclaimed, "Don't you dare! He despises people like this. People who only have bad intentions but try to be the good guy. When you abandon him 14 years ago, you forfeit the rights to be his parents. I bet you don't even know him. In response, Kushina attempted to say, of course I know my own son. Okay then, what is his favorite hobby, his favorite color? What is the most important thing he consider in life? It was a response Kushina was unsure of. Even though she claims to be his mother, she only spent a few hours with him. If Kiritsugu and Irispiel were here, they would say he loves to cook. His favorite color is blue, the same color of the scarf that Irispiel knitted for him on his first birthday party, his 5th birthday. He considered the most important thing in life is family. The reason he is so powerful is because many people wanted to experiment on him and they want to control his sister. He trained hard, so he can protect all of the people he considered family. He once said that he will burn the planet if it meant saving Ilia. If you didn't know any of those small details, then you can't call him his parents. Jiraiya said, there is the prophecy, he needs to save the world. He then swiped his hand and a holographic spell was used to project an image of the entire planet. Ha 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 ha. Don't make me laugh. I know Naruto-kun far better than any of you. The brat does have a strong moral code, but he won't risk his life when it doesn't involve Ilia or the other girls. Besides, that prophecy only talks about the ninja world. Not the whole world. Everybody in the room looked at that. He called attention to the elemental nations. This is your world. The rest is ours. He stated, revealing to everyone the size of their planet. They believed the world to be small and flat yesterday. It's huge and round now. After allowing his shinobi to attempt to retrieve Naruto, Fugaku, seated in the Hokage's chair, made the decision to speak up. He realized it was a pointless effort. It was preferable to develop new strength. Zelrech.san. Can you explain how the worlds work? All the times we tried to travel beyond the veil, no bodies come back. We assume it to be the end of the world, since there is no chakra beyond the veil. This caught the attention of the shinobi. It was the most important question in a shinobi's life. He just grinned. Minato glares at him. Finally, someone with manners. You truly earned the title of Hokage, Fugaku Uchiha. First off, chakra isn't life. For everyone inside the veil, you adapted to chakra so much that it became life to you. You assume that life equals chakra, but that is wrong. In fact, it's that your chakra is linked to your life force due to your constant use of it from your ancestors that the shinobi race evolved to need chakra to live. Outside of the veil, we don't need stolen power. Tsunade cut in. What do you mean stolen power? Sorry, but that is something you need to figure out. Now back to my tale. Since your kind needs chakra to live, you can't leave the veil because of the planet. That prompted a few eyebrows. The planet is alive. The moon and this planet and many others are living entities. All planet is an entity. Ours is no difference. Our planet, Earth, her living entity is known as Gaia and she hates the shinobi race. Long ago, someone put up a powerful barrier to keep Gaia from getting in completely to kill everyone. However, outside of the veil, Gaia is very much in control, so she sucks out the chakra of anyone coming out and killing them. The veil is your prison and your shield. You can't escape without dying. Jiraiya asks, then how did Naruto get out? That there is a secret. Kiritsugu did the impossible and got Naruto-kun out of the veil alive, but doing so, he drew a target on him. In our world, we are very advanced and found peace. There hasn't been a war for over 60 years. Surprised Jiraiya and Minato. They have always wished for world peace, but it seems unreal to learn that there hasn't been a war for more than 60 years. There is an international organization that keeps the peace between the hundreds of countries living together. Then there is a secret organization that keeps the magical world hidden. Jiraiya replied, magic. Peefed. Yeah right. Believe it or not. Magic is real. Humans made magecraft, aka magic, as their way to fight gods during the ancient times. You, shinobi, stole chakra. That what separates us. You steal, while we create. Why do you think there isn't any peace? Your power is not yours, so you can't find a way to create peace when at your core, you're evil. The Namikaze friends and family were forced to contemplate the matter. Fugaku takes in the information fast. He didn't care because he had to defend Konoha, not pursue peace. He was aware that war was imminent. That is demonstrated by the invasion. Fugaku jolted them out of their reverie by asking, what will become of Emiya Naruto? Minato yelled, he's staying here in Konoha, Fugaku. But Fugaku glared at Minato while activating his Sharingan. Fugaku, the 5th Hokage, informed him, that's Hokage. Sama. To you, Jonin. I asked the proper guardian of Emiya Naruto, not for your opinion. Since he was no longer able to use chakra, he was unsure of why he was still regarded as a Jonin. Minato apologized grudgingly, forgive me, Hokage, Sama. Zelrech smiled. He coming home with me? No way in hell, exclaimed Kushina and Minato. Too bad. I'm his godfather. It's my duty to take care of him. He will be safe out of the veil. I have a contract with the Magus killer. He can't leave without completing it. Fugaku informed him. To eliminate Root in the Land of Fire and find Orochimaru, he still required all the assistance. They would become weaker if Minato lost his ability to shape chakra, but he believed that his clan and his shinobi would work harder to become the best. Zelrech then gave him a map showing all the locations, saying, Sai, keep the other half of the money. You will need to rebuild the village with it. I can give you the location of all of Root and Orochimaru base in the Land of Fire. He was already aware of Orochimaru and Danzo. After his encounter with the two, he had to get Naruto something. He would constantly keep an eye out for his godson, apprentice. Since the list Naruto gave him turned out to be accurate, Fugaku accepted the map. This man was not to be questioned. What about Naruto? He seems to be the honorable type and not drop the job until it's done, Fugaku responded. He's also my apprentice. I have disciplined him many times already. He knows not to go against a magician. This is the second time I heard the term, magician. Is there any meaning to it? Fugaku responded. Glad you ask. In our world, there are magus and magician. Magus are the standard people that practice magecraft. Magician practice magic. What's the difference between magic and magecraft? Magecraft is using mana or magic energy to create or do something that technology can do. Many years ago, flying was considered magic, but then humans created the airplane. He displayed a projected image of an early airplane next to a modern one. Magic is creating miracles. These craft can travel through the air and around the world in a few hours or a day. Magic is something that can't be replicated by normal means, as we hide the existence of magic from the public. There are only 3 magicians in the entire world, including myself. Where there are thousands of magus that practice magecraft. Such magic are time traveled at Aoka. Chan uses and I use the kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope is the magic of traveling between parallel worlds, or realities. They appear perplexed. They were completely shocked to learn about time travel. The shinobi could benefit greatly from time travel, but they were unaware of parallel worlds and realities. Sigh. Primitives. We live in a universe right now. A universe is all existing matter and space considered as a whole. The cosmos. That they comprehended. There is an alternate universe for each story that will ever be born for every variation of existence. If you can think of a story that sounds impossible, it's actually a real reality somewhere. Your best dream or worst nightmare is reality somewhere out there. There is unlimited amount of universe, so there is endless possibilities. I have the ability to travel to all of them and I'm training my apprentice, Naruto-kun, to take up the mantle of being the magician of the second magic. Deeply upsetting them. If they can imagine a different reality they would like to live in, it already exists somewhere beyond their reach. Is that what you're going to do? Train Naruto to be your apprentice? Jiraiya responded. They were surprised to hear, eventually, but first, he goes to school. Don't be surprised. In our world, we focus on our children. They deserve to live a normal life where they aren't indoctrinated to fight for their country. We focus on letting them enjoy life, not take it away. Children can easily be convinced to do what adults say. That's why you have child soldiers. If the world knew about you guys, war would be declared because child soldier is highly frowned upon that countries threaten war over protecting the children. But yeah, I'm going to take Naruto to school where he can enjoy life and live a normal life that he deserves and his parents wants. Kushina yelled, but he's my son, he should stay here with me. She flinches as Zelrech looks directly into her eyes. You're not his mother, Iraspiel is. Besides, you're asking Naruto to stay in a place he hates and the people here wants him dead. You're also asking him to kill people, he said with a sad face. Fugaku started to notice the similarities between Naruto and his son, Itachi, saying, you don't know how much he suffers. He's just like his father, Kuritsugu. He hurts himself to save others. Naruto is too kind for this life, so I'm forcing it on him. They're both good-hearted kids who push themselves to complete tasks and have a lot of potential. Kushina started to cry as she looked down in embarrassment. She was held by Minato. Zelrich's words prevented her from asking Naruto to do that. She didn't want to lose him, but she also didn't want to hurt him while he was hurting himself. Hospital. Room of Naruto. There, The girls spent a lot of time. They liked the space. It was very contemporary. Medusa was intrigued by the technology as well. Ilia was petting Kurama. Krulsifer and Xenovia were conversing. Koyuki and Medusa were watching TV. Naruto moaned, "Ah." At last, he awoke. As they hurried to his bed, Ilia, Xenovia, and Krulsifer yelled, "Oni! Chan! Naruto! Naruto.kun." Kurama simply stayed behind with the two older women and went to sit on Koyuki. Naruto began to get off the bed. Xenovia told Naruto, "You just woke up, so you shouldn't get out of bed." "She's right, Oni. Chan." All three heads turned to face the smiling fox and say, "I'm fine. I think I slept enough. I feel good. Besides, Kurama kept me updated when I was unconscious." Krulsifer remarked, "You said you couldn't contact him." He laughed and said, "Oh. I lied. All they did was complain." A redhead beauty in the room caught Naruto's attention as he began to stretch. Apparently, to Kurama's delight, the fox made no mention of her identity. Medusa appears to be glaring at him as he approaches her. Naruto said, "Who are you, miss?" He was instantly drawn to her, which made him a little anxious. She merely glared more intensely. She blushed and yelled, "You dare treat me like your pet, I shall make you pay." Then she dispatched a plague of snakes to devour him. Naruto began to sob in agony. The girls wanted to assist, but they were put off by Medusa's glare. After crying and groaning for a few minutes, Medusa lets go of the snake. Naruto yelled, "What did I ever do to you?" at Medusa. Medusa appears to become even more irate. "You dare forget me? I'm Queen Medusa. No way. You far more beautiful than Queen Medusa." A redhead who was flushed gave him a hard slap. Kurama was having a great time. Everything was proceeding as he had planned. From Koyuki's lap, Kurama yelled, "Kit!" to the down Naruto, who had a large slap mark on his face. His tail pointed in her direction. "I forgot to mention that Queen Medusa woke up after you pass out with your fight against that vampire. She drove him away. This is her new form. I thought you would enjoy it." Naruto only gets a tomato-red flush. The girls stared at him blankly. "Ah, Medusa. Slap, you shall address me as Queen Highness." "All right," he said, wiping his face from the slap. "Queen Highness. Why are you still here? Why didn't you return to the Tager Desert?" "You don't enjoy this queen's company." I do, very much," he exclaimed, waving his arms wildly. "I thought you would return to your home when you woke up. Isn't your people more important than me?" She considered his question for a while. "I find you very interesting. Your world also interests me. You shall entertain me and be my manservant," she said. Everyone yelled, "What?" except for Kurama, who was laughing. The door suddenly swung open, exposing a certain vampire who engages in trolling. "Pack up, brats. You're going to Fuyuki City and will be attending Homerahara Academy next month," he laughed. "What?" After 3 years, Japan's Fuyuki City. Ring ring bang, the alarm clock continued to ring until it was turned off, hard. Our beloved teen with white hair and whiskers woke up from his bed in his current residence. Kuritsugu purchased the house during the Fourth Holy Grail War with the goal of using it as a base for his wife, Irisfield. 1. The house is old and traditional Japanese. It's big enough to accommodate several people. Ideal for Krulsifer, Xenovia, and Naruto. Naruto then makes his way to the restroom to prepare for the day. Naruto couldn't resist grinning. Speaking aloud to himself, Naruto remarked, "The piece is really nice." The past few years weren't as horrible as he had initially believed. Naruto once believed that being sent to Japan and told to attend school would be the end of the world. It was boring as hell, of course, but he liked it. Not as much as Krulsifer and Xenovia, his two girlfriends. They enjoy life just like any other girl. They have fun with the other students once they're at school. At Homerahara Academy, the school they attended, they were both well liked. Both male and female students liked them because of their attractiveness and foreign heritage, particularly men. Krulsifer only grew more refined with time. People held her in high regard due to her inherent princess-like beauty, charm, and personality. Xenovia comes next. She is as direct as ever. She did get along with people, but she struggled to fit in with society's expectations. But her body only grew more alluring from a sexual standpoint. Many men desired her, and many girls were envious of her. Although both girls claimed to be in a relationship, they were both very attractive. Naturally, they didn't bring up Naruto, but the white-haired teen has issues because of his closeness to them. In his own right, he is attractive, and a lot of girls had crushes on him, making guys envious. His close relationship with the twin blue beauties is a source of trouble, though. A lot of people believed he was a Casanova, and they weren't entirely incorrect. The two girls and occasionally Medusa when she appeared were the only attractive women he spent time with. In order to enjoy life outside of the veil, which she adores, Medusa will call herself towards Naruto over the years. The fact that Naruto had to serve her when she appeared didn't help either, only intensifying the rumors about him. Naruto would not work as hard as the girls did in school, but he also did not completely ignore it. He would perform well in some subjects but poorly in others. The teachers were always talking about his attitude. Most of the time, he just didn't care and didn't pay attention in class, making him appear to be a school miscreant despite his grades to the contrary. From behind, a female voice said, "Senpai, you should hurry up. Kurama-san finished breakfast." When Naruto turns around, he sees a young woman with violet eyes and violet hair with a pink ribbon on the left side. Naruto appears to be a year older than this girl. Sakura Matu is the girl in question. When Sakura brightened at his response, he said, "Morning Sakura." The girl was obviously attracted to Naruto, and it was easy to see why. Rewind 3 years prior, the three of them have only been in junior high school for a few weeks. Naruto struggled more than Xenovia and Kurama to adapt to the everyday life. He didn't dislike the quiet life, exactly. He adores it, but his entire outlook is at odds with everyday life. He was tense all the time, out of concern that he or the girls might be attacked. Especially after Zelrech sealed Naruto's chakra coil and their ability to use magic. All for the sake of leading a typical life. He felt so helpless and vulnerable. He didn't like it at all because it made him feel like Uzumaki Naruto. Before going grocery shopping for tonight's meal, Naruto made the decision to go for a stroll around the city. A pleasant stroll in the park seemed like a good idea since he needed to find a way to unwind. Naruto reflected, "At least he didn't take away my weapons." When he found out about the restrictions his trolling godfather had placed on him, having guns and a Suramaru nearby helped to ease his anxiety. Someone screamed, "You stupid bitch!" Naruto heard. When he turned to face the shout's origin, he saw a blue-haired boy his own age slapping a younger girl with purple hair. For a brief moment, Naruto's eye turns red with slits. The girl was on the ground clutching her slapped cheek from the other boy. She said, "I'm sorry, Ni-san." He only grew more irate because he could see that she was more concerned with making amends than she was with offering an apology for whatever it was that was making him angry. Fucking. To kick the younger girl in the face, the boy lifted his foot, but he was punched in the face and sent flying. The girl closed her eyes, waiting for the abuse to come, but it never did. When she opens her eyes, she sees a white-haired teenager with a single, long hair at the back of his head. 2. Then she turned to face the boy with the down and blue hair. He was obviously knocked out. In German, Naruto muttered, "Arschloch, 3. Need a hand." Naruto extended his hand to assist her in standing. She paused to grasp his hand. For a very long time, she had no one to support her. She believed she would never experience this old feeling again. Then he began guiding her out. She simply let him take her to his intended destination. The girl remarked, "He's very warm." She believed that being a part of the Matu family had made her life a frozen hell. Her world was now warmed by Naruto. When he stopped, she stepped out of her train of thought. They came to a halt before an ice cream shop. He gestured for her to approach the ice cream lady to place her order, saying, "I'll have chocolate ice cream and the lady will have." She was taken aback by this generous gesture, though. Given that the girl had not specified which flavor she would prefer, Naruto said clumsily, "Okay." She appears to have a lot of issues, which he was able to manage because he had been in her shoes before. The sweet lady will have strawberry. The woman with the ice cream laughed. She said to Naruto, "You seem to be very sweet on her." Believing that he is infatuated with her, because he didn't know many people and the ones he did know were all extremely attractive women with whom he had a close relationship, Naruto chose to ignore her. Naruto was then given 2 ice cream cones by the woman. A 5,000 yen bill, 4, was left on the counter by Naruto. He grabbed the ice cream and walked away, leaving the girl close behind, telling her to keep the change. Outside, the two took seats on a bench close by. Naruto slapped her with the strawberry ice cream and said, "Here you go." He had to be a little harsh because he could tell by the expression in her eyes that she had given up on life. When Kuritsugu first met Naruto, he was a little insistent and spoke kindly to the boy. He wishes he could do the same for the girl who appears to have given up on life in front of him. He resembled his former self a lot. The girl held onto her cone as he began to lick his, saying, "I'm Naruto by the way." Not taking any action. He warned her, "It's going to melt if you don't start eating." Before she spoke, he was merely chatting. He suspected she would ask the same question he had when he first met his father. The girl whispered, "Why?" Naruto made a correct guess. In the past, she was just like him. Simply spending a lot more time in hell than he did. That was something he appreciated about her. He made numerous attempts at suicide, but he only survived because the Anbu recognized how important he was to them. The village needed a Jinchuriki, so letting him suffer would be enough to satisfy their desire for vengeance, regardless of how much they wanted him dead. Naruto interrupted her before she could finish her question. He told her, but she didn't seem to believe him, "Because I couldn't allow someone to abuse you like that. Letting that Arschloch, 3, hurt you was wrong." All it did was make him seem like a conceited jerk. Then the air became lighter. He inhaled deeply. "Your eyes." She was drawn in. She gave him a close look as her rage grew. "I know those eyes quite well because I had to have the same one. You're in pain." "What do you know about it?" she said in a somber voice. Naruto was aware that she would now express herself. As she dropped the ice cream on the floor, she gave him a furious look. She yelled at him, "You don't know what I've been through." Then, as she turned to leave, Naruto said something that drew her attention once more. He said, "They abandoned you, didn't they?" She froze. She turned to see Naruto's body trembling and tears welling up in his eyes. "Your parents. Only for you to suffer a life of hell." Then she returned to listen to him. No matter how he feels about the Namikaze clan now, he will always feel the same way he did in the past, so he took another deep breath. Since her circumstances are so similar to Naruto's, she instantly felt a connection with him. "My parents abandoned me on the day I was born. They only took my biological younger twin sister." In an effort to shield himself from those memories, he gave a very hollow laugh. "The place I was born in was not child-friendly. The strong rule and the weak could only prey. I was starved, poisoned, abused, and tortured. Hell, I was even raped." But Sakura could see that he was crying. Reliving those memories was obviously painful for him, but he was doing it for her. He pulled her in for an embrace after saying, "All at the age of 4, so when I say that I understand your pain, I truly mean it." She pondered, "He's so broken." She could tell that he was giving him a bigger hug than she was. He told her his story. Then Naruto wiped away his tears. "The adults found joy in my torment. I even attempted suicide before, but the adults refused to let me die. All those torture and pain were healed by them, only for new one to come the next day." He then looks at her eyes. Her eyes were the same ones, empty, until she noticed a tiny glimmer in them. It was later till someone from outside of the place I was born in passed by and saved me. He saved me from them and from myself. He offered me a home, a mom, a dad, and a sister. All which they love me as their own. I see the exact same pain in you, but no one saved you. That's why I want to help you." Then she began to cry. Hearing him offer her assistance and realizing how much his story mirrored her own broke down the barrier preventing her from feeling hopeful. She cried happy tears as she clattered onto him. Finally, for the first time in her life, her prayers were heard. The flashback has ended. Sakura has always been welcome at the Emiyu's residence since that day. A house outside of the Matu estate was what she needed. Like they do for Naruto when he has his moments of reflecting on the past, Xenovia and Krulcifer were incredibly kind to her and tried their best to help her deal with her past. Sakura was interested in Naruto's past but never inquired about it since she was aware of how painful it was. Additionally, the three welcomed her into their home without any reservations, so she would be expected to return the favor. Sakura adapted to living with the three with ease. Despite learning about the three's relationship, she developed a crush on Naruto over the years. She was glad to have a place in their home, but it made her reluctant to face her feelings for him. After putting on the academy uniform, Naruto went downstairs to see Sakura, Krulcifer, and Xenovia consuming breakfast. Even though it's early, the four of them finished their breakfast and left for school. To go to their respective clubs, the four of them parted ways. This year, Naruto didn't join any clubs. Due to its proximity to firearms, he was formerly a member of the archery club last year. He won the national competition and was by far the club's best shooter. He left after that, disappointing a lot of people, in particular, Homerahara Academy English teacher Taiga Fujimura, the club advisor. When he moved to Fuyuki City for the first time, she was a friend. When she finds out who his dad is, was that she would frequently pay him a visit at his house, which was close to her own. Kuritsugu was a business associate of her grandfather, and he occasionally paid her grandfather a visit. She did meet Kuritsugu while he was in Japan on business, and they became friends. When Naruto moved in, she pushed her way into the Emiya family. Her personality fit in well with his odd family, though it did irritate him a little. Before class began, he was going to the roof to have a quick smoke. All the girls, especially Taiga, tried to break him of this terrible habit, but he refused to stop. Krulsifer and Xenovia were aware that drinking and smoking would not harm him in any way because of his capacity for healing, but it was still wrong, particularly given his age. Naruto recognized the voice and said, "Tasaka." The voice of a girl who appeared to be Tasaka said, "Well, if it isn't the student council president." For example, Rin Tasaka is speaking with Issei Ryudo, the president of the student council. A friend and a nuisance. Rin questioned Issei, "Are you patrolling the campus this early in the morning? Or are you making rounds on the club rooms? Not that I care either way. Still, you're ever the diligent student. And what do you have up your sleeve?" he inquired, observing her intently. He didn't trust her, apparently. "Why are you here so early when you aren't in any clubs?" She replied with a smug smile, "I felt like it, that's all." When they hear a footstep, they both turn around, only to discover Naruto attempting to elude them. "Why? Yo." He smiled as though he had been caught red-handed. They both said, "Emiya/Emiya.kun," simultaneously. Rin sounded surprised, and Issei sounded exhausted. After that, Issei approached his fellow pupil and hastily reached into his pockets to find what he was looking for. A cigarette packet. "How many times I told you that this is illegal on campus and is illegal for someone our age?" he yelled at Naruto. Naruto attempted to soothe him by saying, Ma, there is no reason to raise your voice, Issei." Despite their friendship, Naruto's bad habit would constantly surface. Naruto would always find more cigarettes, regardless of what Issei told him. Eventually, Issei quit smoking because he realized it was a very personal reason. He was aware that his adoptive family passed away a few years after he was adopted at the age of 4, indicating abandonment. Issei was aware that Naruto was in pain on the inside, even though he appeared to be fine on the outside. He therefore permitted him to keep smoking but intervened when they were on school property. After that, Naruto turned to face the girl in the corridor. In a playful manner, he said, "Yo Rin. Why so early? He always irritates her." She detested him greatly. Rewind the previous year. The math teacher yelled, "Emiya," at Naruto, one of the two individuals he invited to stay after class. He yelled, "Your grades are abysmal," at Naruto. Naruto listed his classes high achieving students and said, "Hey, I have good grades in English, Japanese, and social studies. I only suck in math and science. At least in science, I get around a low 70%. He responded. He was never proficient in these areas. For them, a barely passing grade was insufficient. "Fine, let me correct myself. Your grades in my class are the lowest," he replied. Naruto nodded, "True." He pointed to Rin, who was grinning smugly behind him, and said, "I can't have you slacking off in math. That's why I'm having Tasaka-san tutoring you. Final exams are coming up soon and I don't want you to barely pass my class. I want you to succeed." "But sensei," whimpered Naruto. In his words, no buts, to Naruto. Then he made his way to the door. "You're required to attend tutoring session with Tasaka-san, who agreed to help you. If you don't attend, I'll give you detention where you will be studying under my watch." He then departed. She smiled and said, "Era, it looks like we will be seeing each other more frequently. Why is Sakura spending so much time with you and your friends?" The girl asked herself. Because of Naruto's involvement with her all those years ago, Sakura wanted to know about her past relationship with Rin. To study, the two strolled over to Rin's house. Rin said, "What's that?" to Naruto. Naruto concludes texting Xenovia regarding his forced tutoring session with Rin. In his words, "It's a cell phone." She was perplexed as to why she was unaware of it. "How can you not know what this is? Almost everyone have one." She gets a little red. "My family never did like modern technology. I was raised without them. The most my parents ever bought was a house phone," Rin stated to Naruto. "Oh. I felt a little uncomfortable around her. Since only Magus generally detest modern technology, Naruto reasoned that she's definitely a Magus." They arrived at her mansion together. He observes the overgrown vegetation covering the area and remarks, "This place is a mess." Additionally, the building was poorly maintained. As she opened the gate, she informed him, "I don't have the time or money to clean my house." Naruto had the ability to read between the lines. Her parents were no longer living. As Rin made tea for their guests, as a good host should, Naruto entered the room and began to look around. Naruto glances at his phone and then at the room's clock. As she entered the living room carrying a plate of tea that had been prepared in a snack, he yelled, "Oi Rin! You do know that your clock is off by an hour." Then she approached to make sure. He showed her the time on his phone and said, "See? Smartphones automatically change the time when you're in a different location or when daylight saving arrives. Your old-fashioned clock needs to be manually adjusted. Thank you Emiya.kun. Sincere gratitude for his assistance." After that, she fixed her clock. As the two headed to the table to study for math, she thought, perhaps he isn't as awful as people say. After a couple of hours, she thought out loud, I was wrong. As Naruto left her house, she watched. He's way worse. Naruto looked for a way to avoid studying the entire time. He frequently came up with petty excuses to buy time. Then he would occasionally take out a cigarette, which she would grab and discard. When she finally had enough, she threw herself at him and grabbed the whole packet. This alone took a few minutes, during which she chased him around in her own home while he laughed. She didn't like him at all, and he was generally very annoying. Because she showed him her actual self rather than being the ideal straight. A student, he would constantly tease her. She was driven insane by it, and this persisted throughout their relationship. Because of the bounded field surrounding her home, he would appear out of the blue and bother her, which should not be possible. She concluded that he was too dim to notice. But she secretly liked having him around. The flashback has ended. He teased, "Did you forget to change your clock again?" Her frustration with him only increased as a result, conscious of her forgetfulness and the passing of time. "Shut up, Baka." She surprised Issei by acting out of character. Even though he knew she was wearing a mask, he was never able to figure it out. It took Naruto only a moment to complete, then she stomped away. "Wait up." Naruto drew near her. He handed her a box and said, "I got you this." There was a woman's watch inside. "I know that you forget to fix your clock every so often, so I got you this digital watch that adjusts itself. See ya." He smiled as he left. Naruto looked at his hand and thought, because this might be the last act of kindness. A red symbol appeared, and he recognized it immediately. He frowned as he concluded, "I would hate to hurt a friend, but Ilia is more important to me than you, Rin." He didn't intend to hurt her, but she will always be a master, and he is now one. A participant rather than an assistant, as was initially intended. Rin smiled and held the gift close to her chest behind him. Her affection for him was growing.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.